dry lips.
Hi, hello everyone. Good morning. Welcome to Global Power Platform Bootcamp. I'm so happy to be here today, and I'm really looking forward to learn a lot. Hi, Blessing. How you doing?
Hey, Ayo, I'm doing good. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great. I'm really looking forward to the sessions today. They are really power packed. I saw that we have Copilot, Power Automate, even Power BI, data modeling. I'm really excited, and I'm looking forward to learn a lot today.
I am. I'm excited as well.
Cool. So I saw that we have very interesting lineup. Starting with Emmanuel Fagbinle, which will be taking who will be taking the introductory part of the Power Automate. So very interesting. And then we have a Predunam, and then we have other speakers that would be speaking on even Power BI. It's a mix. What I love about this is that it's a mix of beginner friendly, intermediate friendly, and advanced level use of Power Platform. I'm so excited. Okay. Yeah, so welcome to the Global Power Platform Bootcamp one more time. Um, please, if you are here, drop a message. Let's see the reactions. Let's see everything. I want to see it. I want to see this place buzzing. Hey, Ola, hi.
Hi everyone. Hi Blessing. Hi Ayorinde. Thank you guys so much
No,
for pulling this all through. I'm so thankful for the gift of you to the community. You guys are awesome. You're amazing, and I can't wait for us to share with the entire community all the things we've been planning for the last couple of weeks. Okay, it's almost time now. It's about you know 9 a.m. CST when we kick this off and start with the message, which is the keynote speech. But right now we are live, and if you're joining on YouTube, I see quite a number of people are joining on YouTube. I'm telling you, this would not you will not be disappointed. You will not be disappointed because we have a lot packed for you. Our guests, our speakers, just so much that you will learn. In case this is your first time getting to know about us, this is the Global Power Platform community for Little Rock, Arkansas. We meet monthly, and it's a physical meeting over here, but we also do some virtual event just to,
yeah.
wherever you are, to give you that flexibility of learning with us. Okay, so in case you've never learned anything about Power Platform and you're wondering, okay, what am I going to learn? This bootcamp is the best place to get started. I have a success story I'm going to share before we play the welcome video, which is the keynote from the Microsoft team. I primarily I was from Nigeria, so I have been part of community in Nigeria in the past, and I've done a couple of things with the community, including hosting Global Power Platform Bootcamp like this in Nigeria. And we've had a lot of success stories for people who had nothing, like literally they don't have a career up to that point until they attended that bootcamp to gain clarity. Okay, this is what Power Platform is all about. And from that bootcamp, they kick off their career. Many of them, they are now fully into Power Platform. Some of them have used this skill to change career. Some have actually leveraged this skill to improve on themselves and probably get promoted or become a better person, a better professional all around. So in this age, skill like this that we are sharing and you're going to acquire through this bootcamp is not for some set of people, it's for all. When you hear this whole concept, AI is going to take your job, AI is not going to take your job, not for people who have Power Platform skill. And I mean it, because you are right there solving business pain points. The only thing AI will not take away from people is, let me put it this way. The only people AI will not so much disrupt, there are people that are actively solving business challenges. There are a lot of hype out there. People are talking about different AI, but how many of those AI are truly solving business pain points? So whoever is solving this challenge will continue to be relevant. And that is what Power Platform Skill give to you. So before we bring on our guest, I would just like to quickly share with you the global team. And after this, then we'll move on to the keynote message. This is the global team who put this together. It's the 6th year of organizing this. And right now, not even right now, this show is happening in many places all over the world. As a matter of fact, it's going to happen in about 70 countries, cities all over the world. And some have started yesterday of our time because, Australia, New Zealand, those guys are always in different world. They're in tomorrow right now. So as of yesterday, they were today. And so they have actually had their first sessions. And yep, so here's the local team that put this together. I want to give a big shout out to Blessing, Itodo, Ayorinde, Alashe, and of course myself right here. We do our best to bring the best experience for you. Also, using this opportunity to say thank you to our sponsors, Microsoft, Upzoid, and everyone involved to make this come to pass. All right, I know you're ready, so we're going to get started. But before then, our highlight for today. This is the outline. We're going to share with you the keynote message. And after this, you're going to build your very first flow. In case you never built one before, you are wondering, how can I teach this? Or the experience has changed. I never even learned this thing as a beginner. So let me validate my knowledge as a beginner, which I was never. Whatsoever your stage today, you're going to learn how to build your first business process flow. I can't wait to see this. And after that, we have a Predona who will share with us adding more power to your processes with Prompt Builder. That's actually AI. And this is the best way to use AI. Use AI to solve problems. So you're going to show us how to use AI to build a prompt builder using prompt builder to solve business problem. Again, you're going to build agent, Copilot Studio. So you're going to build your very first AI power chatbot today. And after that, analytics. We're going to learn specific use case, how to optimize data models for supply chain analytics. See, after these sessions, you should go back to this video and practice them because, to be honest, it's awesome, it's amazing. All right, so right now I'm going to go to the video which we have from our team. This is the sponsor, and I will play this video. Just give me a sec to do that. All right, and then after that we continue with this. So I'm going to. You can enjoy that face while while doing that. All right, I'm gonna share this. Okay. Okay. I'm having tech issues here. All right. Just one moment, and with that. Okay. All right, I have this now. The window. Took longer than thought. Copy link. So we're getting ready. Our speaker then. I'm trying to make sure the audio of the video is shown, so it's played. All right. Okay, so we have it finally. Confirm, guys, that you can hear. Can you hear the sound? Okay, good. All right, so let's go with the keynote message now.
Hello everyone. A warm welcome to the Global Power Platform Bootcamp 2025. It's wonderful to be celebrating our 6th year of this amazing event, happening all around the world. First of all, a big thank you to our incredible community, our organizers, speakers, volunteers, and of course, all of you attending today. Your passion and support is what makes this event so special.
We would also like to express our heartfelt gratitude to Microsoft for their continued support to the Power Platform community, and a special thanks to our global sponsor, Upzoids, for helping make this event possible across so many locations. And a big thanks to our local sponsors for the generous support in bringing the event to life in your city.
It's truly inspiring to see people from all over the world come together to learn, share, and connect. Whether you're attending in person or online, today is about celebrating the power of community and technology.
The Global Power Platform Bootcamp has become more than just an event. It's a tradition built on collaboration and learning. And it's all thanks to you, our amazing community.
So let's enjoy the sessions, share ideas, and make some new connections. Enjoy the 6th Global Power Platform Bootcamp. Let's make this one the best yet.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ryan Cunningham. I lead the Power Platform Intelligent Applications Product and Engineering team here at Microsoft, and I'm thrilled to be helping kick off yet another Global Power Platform Bootcamp. This is such a special digital event around the world, and since it started in 2019, has really been one of the many key engines driving the growth and evolution of the platform. In that, 5 or 6 years, we've seen just a huge shift from simple individual one-at-a-time projects to a sophisticated platform being used at enterprise scale. And we are right now in the middle of yet another shift, moving from what low code used to mean, just drag and drop and point and click, to really intelligent applications and automations and agents built themselves with intelligence. And that is changing the world. The principal analyst for low code at Forrester Research just a couple months ago published a blog post and said, look, we think this changes the entire future of business software. We think a lot of things that are currently SaaS projects or bespoke full stack code get reinvented on generative low code platforms. And that is exactly the platform we're working with here in Power Platform, helping build a future where companies generate exactly what they need: specialized agents, intelligent applications, intelligent automation on a fully managed platform. And that creates a massive amount of opportunity for learning, for imagination, and for all of our careers. It is time to really rethink a lot of existing SaaS products, a lot of existing legacy systems, and a lot of things that aren't even software today at all. So thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for being bold and forward thinking about the future, for investing your time and energy and expertise with each other in an event like this. I cannot wait to see what comes out of it next. Take care.
Welcome, everyone, and welcome to the Global Power Platform Bootcamp 2025. There are about 70 bootcamps that's happening worldwide. Now, whether you are a first-time maker or a seasoned pro, you're part of this incredible community. It's a community of makers, innovators, developers, and they all are so passionate about building solutions that are truly transforming human experiences and business processes. But first, I want to start by saying thank you. Thank you to our organizers, volunteers, and speakers. Your passion, your dedication is what makes this event so popular and so successful. So we so appreciate you. But first, as builders, we are in the midst of this massive AI platform shift, and we are so fortunate because these foundational models have some incredible capabilities. It can generate text and code and images, it has multimodality capabilities, and it can now also reason and plan and run business processes autonomously. So imagine what we can do as Power Platform brings these foundational model capabilities in a very secure way. So we can build these agentic solutions, automate processes with Microsoft Copilot Studio and Power Automate, build intelligent experiences and applications using Power Apps, and powerful analytics dashboard with intelligent insights using Power BI. Now, with Power Platform's agentic and AI capabilities, you get agility, you get predictability, but also peace of mind with security, scale, and compliance built in. So this is a chance to experiment, learn, level up with Power Platform's capability and build some incredible solutions. But please don't stop there. Keep the momentum going. Let's join the Power Platform community. Also, take the Applied Skills Challenge at AKAMS GPPB 25 Challenge. Let's make this an unforgettable experience. We'll keep learning, building, and keep creating breakthrough solutions. Enjoy the bootcamp.
All right, we are on now to our next session, which is building your first flow, a beginner's guide to power automation. And I'm bringing on board now Emmanuel Fagbenle, who will be taking us through this session. So just before I bring on board Emmanuel, let me tell you a bit about him. Emmanuel is a data analytics professional with engineering background, specializing in business intelligence, Power BI, SQL, Python, process automation, and data-driven decision making. He is Microsoft certified expert in Power Platform with experience in cloud platforms like Azure and Snowflake, and even database management. He focused on transforming complex data and processes into actionable business insight and even impact. So, guys, join me as I make welcome Emmanuel right now. Hi, Emmanuel.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing great as well. It's really cold over here right now, like minus 12 degrees. So, chilling.
Wow. Wow, that well, it feels like minus 12, yeah. But not,
Yeah.
not that really cold. Yeah, so good to have you, bro. You can share your screen as soon as you're
Okay.
ready to start. The floor is yours now. And my team, we are all here to answer questions. So, in case you are joining on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on YouTube, I want you to actually put a comment right there. Tell us how excited you are about this. And as you're learning, as you're having questions for our speakers, please do not hesitate to drop them in the comment section. We will be seeing that. We've seen one from Vicotor TV say, Awesome. That's the kind of thing we want to hear. Those words. Awesome. How excited are you to join the to join us today? Just let us know, and yep, we will definitely feature it. So back to we'll be on the backstage now and give Emmanuel to you so that I can enjoy your time with Emmanuel, and we'll focus on answering your questions in the comment and chat. Okay. Over to you, Emmanuel.
All right. I want to confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, we've added your slide onto the stage now. Now you go back to the
Oh,
slide.
perfect.
Yeah, just project.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, just don't
All
worry
right.
if
So
the
hello
lady.
everyone. Okay. Perfect. All right. So hello everyone. My name is Emmanuel, and I'm so happy to be here. I've attended several Power Platform events. I can remember 2023, 2024 in the crowd, sitting down. That was back in Nigeria, sitting down, listening to like experts in the field, asking myself, can I ever like get to that level where I understand it compared to these people that are on the stage talking? It felt impossible at that point in time. But then I got to realize all it takes is practice. You just need to understand what people are saying, understand the business problem, and then you create solutions. Like you create amazing solutions that is going to blow your mind, your manager's mind, and even on your day-to-day activities. So I'm going to break down what Power Automate is today. I'm going to explain what is Power Automate, the building blocks, the key things you need to know. And you have the triggers, action, the logics, and then we are going to have like a simple case study. And I'm currently taking a class, and this lecturer makes us do something in this class. After every line of code or any code you try to do, she tells you in the assignments, explain this line of code to like an 11-year-old child. And at first, I was like, why am I explaining what I'm writing, this complex logic to an 11-year-old child? And I realized after the first class, second class, third class, the more I write and explain it like an 11-year-old child, I got to understand this concept better. So I'm going to apply this same thing here. I said this is like for beginners, beginners friendly. And if you're an expert also, you can pick up one of the key principles maybe you forgot about. So I'm going to explain like I'm explaining it like an 11-year-old child, so you can understand it and not use too many technical jargons that it's kind of like, I don't want to learn this. So yeah, Power Platform. Personally, I started out with Power Platform through Power BI. Power BI has been a great tool as a data analyst, data professional. But then I realized I want to make more impact to the business. I don't just want to be the data guy. I see arcade solutions in different departments. I'm like, what can I do to improve these things? I see the way people collect data from different sources and the data is dirty. I'm like, what can I do? What change can I do in my own little way? I know I don't have that crazy technology experience, so I don't know how to code in C++, C Sharp, do all these things. But what simple tool can I learn to make an impact within a very short period of time? And voila, the answer is Power Automate. And it's all within the Microsoft Power Platform ecosystem. At first, I was thinking maybe I need to go learn the software outside of Microsoft or learn something that my organization is not currently paying for. But then I realized this simple tool is within what we have in my arsenal, and it's something most people do not have. I'll say if your school, your organization, you're making use of Microsoft Outlook, you're already in the Microsoft ecosystem. Just need to check whether you have access to Automate, and if not, you can get the license. It's a game changer for everyone, and I recommend everyone to learn it. So you don't need to be like a data professional. You could be in any field. You could be the manager, you could be the person in the front desk, you could be in anything, you could be like the customer service team, anything. Just learn Power Automate and it's gonna be a game changer for you. So yeah, what is Power Automate? That's the burning question in our hearts now. We've known Power Automate now, like, oh, what it can do. And I'll tell you it's cloud-based. You use it to create workflows. You have repetitive tasks. You have tasks that you do every single day. You have to repeat this task every single day. And it's very strenuous for you. But with Power Automate, you get to remove this repetitiveness from your day-to-day processes. And you can easily connect this Power Automate to various applications, services with little to no coding. So if you're like me back in 2022, 2023, I was a civil engineer as at then. I learned the whole DYDX, constructing a building, structures, pillars. I had no idea of coding. And you can easily get into Power Automate just like me, who had no experience. It's all drag and drop. And if you have to do any coding, it's minimal. It's not something too crazy and scary that will be like, oh, I don't know how to code. This is not something for me. Power Automate is easy and straightforward. And I'm going to take us through like advantages of learning Power Automate. It saves time. Just as I said, repetitive tasks you need to do every single day. And I'll run you through like an example. So when I go to UNH, I'm currently having my master's here. I realized we had in the African Student Association, we had a list of all the African students and our birthday dates. And what the president used to do before is to go through the list, see whose birthday it is for that particular month, and then go over to send an email to the person every month. And with this, sometimes you miss some people's birthday. She might be busy and she forget to check for that particular day and forget to send an email to that person on that day. And that's another thing about being like a Power Automate enthusiast at this point. The person having this challenge do not know that is a challenge. They are so used to the old system that they don't see it as a problem. They see it as a normal day-to-day task. But I saw the problem, walked up, like this thing, we can automate this. And like, oh, wow, I've never heard about this too. Explained it. And we created the solution. Now she does not ever have to go check out the list every morning. Whose birthday it is this month? Who do I need to send an email to? There's an automation that runs through this list every day. Is it your birthday? Yes. We send you a birthday email, copying everybody, all African students. Oh, we celebrate with you. We come party if we need to. That's like a simple solution. It does not have to be something too crazy or out of the box. This is you saving someone's time and they can channel this to enhance their productivity. Now, the time she has to use to check whether it's someone's birthday, she can apply this time into something else, improving her productivity, and also in our workplace as well. The time you used to do these repetitive tasks, the tasks you come in every day, you have to do 2+2 every single day. Power Automate can automate this for you and make your life seamless. Now you can channel the energy you use on the repetitive tasks to other aspects of your life to improve the business and not doing day-to-day things you can automate. And the last part is the reduce human error. As humans, we are prone to errors. Just as I said, like the example I was giving earlier, where you have to send an email to someone on their birthday. For example, let's say she's sick and she could not go through that list that day, and it's someone's birthday. That person will receive an email. And I love it when people celebrate me on my birthday. So I'm like, oh, that's quite sad. I didn't get an email on my birthday. But imagine if we have Power Automate running every day doing this. We won't have this particular situation where you don't receive an email on your birthday because we have an automation setup, reducing errors and all these other things. So I hope you understand the importance of having this. It saves you time. Time is everything as humans. It saves you time, allows you to do more, and reduces errors. So the building blocks of Power Automate. For this, I'm also going to give a scenario also. As I said, I'm going to explain this like I'm explaining to like an 11-year-old child. So let's say my little brother, my 11-year-old brother wants to go over to McDonald's to get like burger or something, for example. What's the first thing we need to go? We don't want to make an order. We want to listen to music together in the car. We want to vibe, have our little brother, big brother, and little brother moments and drive all the way to McDonald's. The first thing we need to do is get into the car with my car key and kickstart the car. That is the trigger in Power Automate. So for any flow to run, you need a trigger. You need something to kickstart it. You need something to sort of push it to start running. You can see the little icon at the bottom. I don't know if you watch all those TikTok videos where you have different pillars all laid up together side by side and you just push it and you have that ripple effect of everything falling, blah blah blah. So that first push you push on that first stick, that's the trigger that makes other things start working as well. So I and my brother, we're in the little car now. I'm like, yeah, let's go to McDonald's. Let's go get what was it called? Let's go get the burger. We're in the car. We put the car key into the ignition. We start the car. That's the trigger. We've started the journey. Now I want us to carry this idea also into Power Automate. You have your automation idea in the head. What is that first thing that is going to make the flow to run? I want you to put that in mind. That's your trigger. It's a keyword in Power Automate, and it's something you need to know. For any flow to run, you need the trigger. I cannot get to McDonald's without starting my car. So the event cannot happen. So that's something you need to keep in mind, the trigger. The next building block in Power Automate is your action. So now we're in the car, we are listening to music. And as I'm driving, there are different things I'm going to see on the road. I'm going to see a stop sign. I'm going to see a red light. I'm going to see different cars. I need to react to the different things I see on the road. I see a car in front of me. I need to press my brake. I see a trailer I need to overtake. So these are the different actions you take. And it's also similar to Power Automate as well. You've built your flow, you have your trigger. Now you need to add different actions to your flow. What do you want the flow to do? Do you want to send an email? Do you want to get a document from a folder? Do you want to, let me use the birthday list. Do I want to go to an Excel document to see the list of all the African students in my school and then look for whose birthday is today and then send an email? Those are the actions in this particular scenario for Power Automate. So yeah, these two are the major blocks. Once you have an understanding of this, I promise you're already a pro in Power Automate already. You know the trigger, you know your actions, boom, you're good to go. And the last part, which is more like a wild card, just to make your flow better, should in case you ever need it, is the conditional logic. So sometimes you might have like true or false. So back to me and my junior brother. We are in the car, we are listening to music, and our favorite music is playing inside the car. And we're like, oh, we're enjoying this music so much. Google Map is telling us to take the shortest route. And we have another long route that will take us extra 10 minutes. We're like, I think we'll prefer the longer routes. We don't want Google Maps choice. We don't want the shortest routes. We want the longer routes so that we get to bond together inside the car and have like good moments like the other side. That also is applicable in Power Automate as well. So for example, the flow is running and there's a question in the form, are you happy with our service? If the customer says yes, you're like, oh, you send an email saying, oh, we are happy, you are happy with our service, which is great. And the customer says no, you have the other side of the flow that says, oh, an email sent to them saying, oh, we apologize. This is what we need to do to make your stay with us better. So those are the building blocks. Once you have an understanding of these basic things, you are a pro already. You can go the trigger, the action, and the logic. So the next slide, I'll be focusing on the triggers and letting us understand the key things for these triggers. So yeah, in the trigger, we have three major triggers in your Power Automate. This is like a screenshot from my Power Automate, the automated cloud flow. You have the instance cloud flow and the scheduled cloud flow. And I don't want to bombard you with these three things. So I'm gonna give examples to break it down and make you understand it. So I'll be starting from my left-hand side, which is the automated cloud flow. So this is being triggered by a designated event. That is, something needs to happen before your flow starts running. An event needs to happen before your flow starts running. I hope that's clear. And for this, I'll still use my car example. For example, I have a car and I want my car to only start when I'm close to it. The designated event here is when I'm close to it. Or let me give an example. I have a car and I only want my car to start when I tap the side mirror. The designated event here is when I tap my side mirror of my car. That's when I want the car to start. So this is just the automated cloud flow, just trying to tell you that the flow will only run when something happens. Like me tapping the side mirror of my car, that's when the flow will run. Or when the car spots me wearing my blue or black top anywhere. I want this car to come on immediately and warm itself before I come inside. So that's an example of an automated cloud for the trigger that starts the flow. And talking about it in the business sense of things is, for example, you have a Microsoft Forms and you have customers coming into your store to buy goods. And after they finish buying this good, you want them to feel like a survey. And after the survey, you want to send like a thank you email to them. I think that's a case study. I already gave out the case study. So you want to send like a thank you to them. You can make use of automated cloud flow because designated event for this is they fill in a form. So whenever they fill a form, the flow gets triggered. It starts working. So that's what we mean by automated cloud flow. For the instance cloud flow, you need to trigger this manually. That is, you want your car to only start when you go turn on the ignition. You don't want the car to just start up itself or when you tap anything. You want to be the one to manually go to the car and turn on the car and be like, oh, junior brother, we are going to McDonald's. I want to be the one to turn on the car myself and not start on its own. That's what instant cloud flow means. And that's a trigger for that. And the last one is the scheduled cloud flow. This one, you choose how often you want the flow to run or when you want it to run. And let's say we are going to McDonald's on a Tuesday morning. And I'll be like, very early in the morning, like middle of the night. I just can just set my car to start 2 a.m. every day. Like, we're going to McDonald's every 2 a.m. I want my car to start every 2 a.m. automatically. I don't want the car does not need to see me, or I need to tap the side mirror, or I need to go into the car to start the ignition. I just want the car to start itself. I think I see some cars like that because of the snow to warm up itself and all those things. I see some cars late at night, I think they call it automatic start. I don't really know much about cars. Yeah, but that's the idea for scheduled cloud flow. And the business side of things, you want, let's say your line manager is always asking for a particular report at the end of the day. You can build a flow that sends that report to your line manager at 5 p.m. every single day to make sure that your line manager receives all the necessary information that is needed. So yeah, triggers, very, very important. As I said, this is the first building block of Power Automate. A flow will not run without a trigger. And once you understand your trigger, everything becomes easy because you come up with a business problem. The first question you need to answer is, what trigger do I need for this particular business problem? Do I need to use an automated trigger? Do I need to do a manual trigger? Or do I need to use the scheduled Cloudflow trigger? Once you can answer this question, I promise you, you're already a pro. So we're going to go through the automated Cloudflow for the case study. And if I have enough time, I'll run us through the instance Cloudflow and the scheduled Cloudflow. And I have 2-3 more slides before I go over to the practical, so I don't get to talk too much and you see all these things in action. So yeah, we have the action part of things in Power Automate. Remember I said the first building block is the trigger. That's the first part. The next part is adding your actions. And in Power Automate, we have different connectors. A lot. I don't even know all the connectors right now, but you have a lot. And you can see at the top here where it says search for an action or connector. So you can type your connector. For example, I want to send an email. I can write mail in my connector. It shows all the actions I can carry out in my mail. I can search for Microsoft Teams. It tells me all the things I can do in Microsoft Teams. If I want to do approvals also, I can type approvals, search for an action or connector, and I can do all these things. And you can have multiple actions in your flow. It's not tied to just one action. You can decide to do many things. You can have flows having up to like 50, 100, as much as you want actions. But then the trigger needs to be there, and then you can have as much actions as you want. I'm going to explain this better when I go into the practical section, which I'm going to do soon. And here you have the logic aspect of things. This I said is more like the wild card. It's not compulsory to have this in all your flows. It's just something to keep in mind that, oh, I have a true false scenario. What do I do in this kind of case? For example, oh, we are taking a survey and we're asking them, did they enjoy the service? Yes or no? If they say yes, say thank you for enjoying the service. And if they say no, be like, we are sorry, what can we do to improve? What are the things we can do to make these things better, basically? And yeah, those are the key things you need to understand about Power Automate. I know these are just, I'm more of a visual learner, so that's why I added these images also for us. And in the practical session, the lab session, I'm actually going to run us through these things so we understand these things better. So remember, I said the trigger. The trigger is always the first item you are going to have in your flow. You have the trigger at the top. You have it is the first thing you need to do. And the second part is the action. You need the action. You can have several actions in your flow. As I said, the action I have here is the get user profile. I want to get the user profile of the person that filled the form and all. So that's the action. And the wild card is the conditional logic, which is optional. You might have it, you might not have it. It's not like a do or die affair to not have the logic part in your flow. So yeah, if you're not gonna pick anything from this session or from this my slide, just remember, for your Power Automate flow, you need your trigger first. You can't run a flow without a trigger. You need the trigger that is going to kickstart the flow. The second part, the third, fourth, or however you need, you can add as many actions you want to your flow. And the logic, if you need it, you can add it, and if not, you can take it out. So we are going to go through a simple case study. And for this case study, imagine I own a store. My nickname is Moko, M-O-K-O. So let's call this store Moko Store. Imagine we have Moko Store and then a customer comes in. Now, what do I want to sell? Let's ask a question. Yeah, let's say I'm selling coffee and whatever snacks. And this is a startup, and I need my customers' information to know whether I'm on the right track, whether I'm serving them well, whether there are things I can do to improve on what I'm doing, because I'm a startup. I'm just trying to begin my career in selling coffee. So yeah, when customers come, I try to send them a form to fill, to let me know things I'm doing good or things I'm doing bad, things I can improve on. And once they fill this form as well, I want to, once they fill this form, I also want to, what's it called? I want to send them an email telling them, thank you for coming to our store. Really appreciate you for coming to our store and would love to have you back. And we appreciate your feedback as well. So these are the things I want to get done in this my automation problem. So yeah, we have all these things listed out. How do we go about it? That's the question. That's the question Moko Store is facing. And now Moko Store has decided to employ, it could be any one of you. We are beginners, but then we've learned the basics and now we can build our first ever flow and see how this works. So yeah, I'm going to be closing my slides now, and we'll be going over to my browser. So yeah, now I'm over in my browser, and the first thing you need to do is to have a Microsoft account. If you don't, I have my, you can just go search on your Google or Bing. I use Bing most of the time. Your Office 365 login, and then I come over to here. It shows you your Office 365 account, and you can also create a developer account as well. I think that's what you need to do as a beginner. I might probably maybe I'll share a resource with Ola, or maybe Ola can share a resource on how to create a developer account. This is my own developer account, and that's why I have this here. So this is my developer Microsoft account, and in the launcher here, you get to see all the different Microsoft tools you have access to. And you see Microsoft Power Automate here. Sometimes you might not see Power Automate here for yours. You might need to click on more apps to see more apps within Power Automate. Okay, yeah, that's coming up. So I can click on all apps. And this shows you all the apps you have, and you can see Power Automate here as well. So that's something I want you to keep in mind. Sometimes when you click on the launch after you log into your Office account, you might not see Power Automate here. So you can just click on more apps to go look for Power Automate. Now that's if you have like access to it. So yeah, that's the first problem solved. Let me click on mine, Power Automate. All right, it's loading. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is Power Automate, and this is the home page. It's telling you can create an automation with Copilot, and Copilot has been an amazing stuff for me. It's been game changer. So I guess maybe one of the speakers will also speak on Copilot. You get to learn more on that. Please listen to the session. Yeah, so you can also describe. That's if you want to be lazy, you don't want to build your flow yourself. You can describe in details what you want to do, and you click generate, and it generates the flow for you. But we are not going that route. You need to understand the basics before we start going through shortcuts. So now let's go through the normal process, which is the create. So yeah, see what I was explaining earlier, the automated cloud flow, the instance cloud flow, the scheduled cloud flow. The last one here, which is describe and design it, that's Power Automate doing it for you. You just tell it what you want and it's going to build the flow for you. I don't want us to do this yet. Stay away from this first. Understand the basics before you start telling it to build flows for you. I think that's just the nice approach to go. So yeah, this is Power Automate. This is the interface of Power Automate. The screenshot I showed you, you have them here. You can ignore these ones for now. I don't want to go into complex matters for now. So yeah, going over to our case study, we have a store and we have a form that we want our customers to fill once they buy a coffee or anything from us. And I've also created a simple customer feedback survey form here for them to fill. What the information I want is the customer name. I want the customer email. I want to know if they are satisfied. And I want them to tell me anything that they feel like, oh, I can improve on as a store. Things they feel like, oh, Moko store, you guys served great coffee, but I feel your sugar is too much. I feel the packaging is not giving something I would love to buy another time. So those are the information I want to get so that I can use this to improve my store and grow bigger and have franchise everywhere as Moko store. So yeah, that's what I need to do. So looking at this, I need to ask myself the question, what trigger do I need for this? Do I want to manually click the flow to run anytime they fill the email form? The thing is, I don't know when they are going to fill the email form. They can fill the email form in the middle of the night. They can fill it by 2 a.m., by 3 a.m. I don't know when they are going to fill this form. It can happen at any point in time. So I can't use instant cloud flow because I don't know when they are going to fill the form. I can't go and be clicking it to send them an email at every point in time. And looking at the other one I spoke about, the customer can come in at any time of the day to buy. So I don't know when my customer is going to come. So I can't set a time for the flow to run in this particular scenario because the customer can come by 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I can't tell the flow to only run by 2 a.m. in this sense. This does not solve the answer of my case study because the customer can come anytime to buy coffee. It's cold over here and I want to serve my customer 24/7. So now looking at this automated cloud flow triggered by a designated event, this makes sense. That is whenever they fill the form, that is my designated event. That is when I want the flow to run. So I'm going to key into this and use this particular trigger. So I want you to understand because that's the first thing. If you get the trigger wrong, you are already in the wrong direction of flow. So that was why I emphasized on understanding the trigger. You need to understand the problem to be able to select the right trigger for your case study problem or whatever problem you are going to have to solve within your organization or personal need. So for this, my designated event is whenever they fill a form, I want this flow to run and send them like a complimentary message. So I've clicked on this and it's asking for a flow name. Let me give it customer feedback. And it's asking me for my trigger. As I said, we have several triggers, several triggers over here. So we're just gonna keep it simple. And I want my trigger to be when my customer fills my survey feedback form. And I click on create. Okay. Yeah, perfect. So yeah, this is my Power Automate environment. So this is my first action, not an action, sorry, my trigger. Now it's asking me, say an invalid parameter. I click on it. It's asking me, what form am I talking about? I'm saying when a new response is submitted. So which form are you talking about? Power Automate doesn't know the form I'm talking about. So I clicked on this. It's showing me the different form ID, like which form are you talking about? That's basically what it's trying to tell me. And I can see my customer feedback survey here. And the main reason I'm seeing it here is because this form I created is within my Microsoft account. So it's going to show you all the forms you've created within your Microsoft profile account. You see that over here. So I click on my customer feedback survey. You see it's no more showing invalid again because it knows that whenever it receives a form response from this, I want this flow to start running. So that's the first action. The next thing I want to do now is to now get the form response details. So yeah, we filled the form. My customer has filled the form. This flow is now running. What's the next line of action for this particular form now? I want to get, okay, no, let me make it easier for us. I can just type forms here. So it's not complex. I know, yes, I want to get the response for my forms. You see, it brought out Microsoft Forms and it shows you what you can do in Microsoft Forms, which is get response details. I want to get the response of what my customer has filled. I click it here, which is perfect. And as I said, you can have multiple actions. You don't have to have just one action in your flow. And after this, I can then say, add like email. And you see different functions here. You can send an email, forward an email, delete an email, get an email, flag an email. You can do different things with this. But what I want is to send an email. I don't want to do any of these things. So I just click on send an email. That's the action I want. And for this, who do I want to send? Power Automate is asking me, who do I want to send this email to? And remember, in my form, I've already asked for the customer email of my customer. So now I can then make use of this in my flow, in my flow. You just click on this to switch to advanced mode. And you click on this. Okay, I'm just gonna over it. So this is to allow you to pick. Oh, sorry. Get response details. Sorry. Oh, I've not filled this. So for the get response details, sorry, I missed the step ahead. For the get response details, it's going to ask you that what response am I getting details from? And for this our particular question, we are trying to get response details from our customer's form. So the ID is from our customer feedback survey, and the response ID, all you need to do is click on this like lightning sign. It shows you the ID of this particular form that they filled, which is simple, easy. Now let's go to our send an email. So now I need to get the email address that the customer has filled in the form. Okay. Now I see it here now. I see my customer's email and it shows answer to the question above. So yeah, I wanted to send it to them. And the subject should be maybe thank you for filling a simple survey. Okay. And I want it to be personal. There are some emails I get. I feel like this is a very lazy email from the company. You get those kind of emails where they just send to 10,000 people. They just say, "Dear customer." Like, don't call me dear customer. Say my name. I'm your customer. You should know me. And for my coffee store, I want to have that personal bond with my customers. I don't just want to say dear customer. So I can say dear, and I click this icon as well. And then I take the name. So it's more personal now. I'm saying dear Emmanuel, dear David, dear whoever it is that comes to patronize us in our store. Say, dear David, thank you for filling am I getting this coffee survey? We appreciate, we love you. Yeah. Please come by again. Yeah. Best regards, Mocha Star. So this is just like a simple email I just created myself. So whenever anybody fills this email, it sends like a personalized response to each one of them, telling them that, oh, thank you for coming to this our store, and these are the things you need to do. And after this, I click out and I save. And now, voila, we built our first flow. Everything is all ready and set to go. So now let's take a test. Let's say the customer email. I want to fill, let's say I'm the customer and I want to fill this particular information. 1 minute. Okay. I need to get my email. I have my email open there. Sorry. Okay. All right. So I'm the customer. I'm putting myself in the customer. We have limited time left. And let's say the name of the customer is, I don't want to use my name. Let me use my name, Emmanuel. And are they satisfied? Definitely is my store. I'm going to put extremely satisfied. And is there anything like, you guys amazing, coming to get my coffee at your store every morning? Yeah. And they click submit. And we give it some minutes. God. My flow is running. So I'm just trying to show us the result. So we have it here. Emmanuel, thank you for your visits. Yeah, it sent it twice, which is quite weird. Guess I'll just delete one of them for now. But let's just focus on this. Dear Emmanuel, thank you for choosing our store. We truly appreciate you. You see, sent it to my email address. And if any one of you fills this particular form also, you receive this email in your inbox And this is more personalized, mentioning the name rather than just saying dear customer, showing this is just like a general email to everybody. If a David should feel it, he's going to say dear David. If uh, anyone feels it, it puts in their name. And that's like the major building block of Power Automate. And lastly, before I go, the last part I'm going to show you is the run history. So, sorry. Whenever you run a flow, it shows you here 28 days run history where you see the history of your flow runs and everything to show you whether you have successfully run flows or flows that are failed. So yeah, that's the basic intro to Power Automate, your first flow. And my name is Emmanuel. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. If you have questions or things, resources you feel you might need to get better, you can always reach out. I'm more than happy to answer questions. So yeah, thank you everyone.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, Emmanuel. To say that in 40 minutes you can have this much covered, I will have been like, wow, is it possible? And to be very honest, I'm so impressed by what you've done. See, I have taught Power Automate before, but never like this. You truly broke it down. And I was wondering, will you be able to do the demo? Will you be able to show us exactly what is happening there, how to connect Power Automate and build your very first flow, which you did. This is amazing. So, guys, if you have questions on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on YouTube, drop that in the comments, and we're going to take that. I have some comment to highlight, so just so that you know, Emmanuel, people
Yeah.
are actually following what you're doing. And someone said, this is great high opener, making Power Automate look so simple. Isn't that amazing? Indeed. And that honestly represents what we feel today, because it indeed makes Power Automate look really so simple. And yeah, and thank you for this. So I want to share with, and someone also said, "Oh, I'm so glad to be here." That is more than enough. Being glad to be here to learn with others is more than enough. And yes, so there are no specific questions right now, but yeah, there's an appreciation. Thank you, Emmanuel. Not just from us, from over 151 people, persons who are
Yeah.
joining right now. They're saying, "Thank you, Emmanuel, for taking us through this." And again, guys, this is being recorded. So you have access to this after this bootcamp. I would not stop emphasizing this. Some people started their career from something like this. Multiple people. I didn't have the opportunity to attend a bootcamp before I started, but it's so good to be true. Some are wondering, are you saying this thing is true, or are we going to get to pay at one point or the other? No, it is free, and it is real, and it is true. So yeah, thank you so much, Emmanuel, for taking us.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you for having me as well.
Okay, and Jude, Jude, I see how you were following through and asking, being very involved. You said I enjoyed this intro, even though I was left behind. Try to follow up on my PC too. So thank you so much, Jude. Right now we are on to our next session. Thank you very much, Emmanuel, and right now we're going to be bringing up our next speaker, who is also in the studio. To be very honest, I'm humbled by our dedication to great community. I don't know how I'm having goosebumps over me right now, because I had the privilege of briefly, attending a couple of meetings and sessions with her while I was working at Microsoft, and I can tell you, she is a leader, not just one, a passionate leader, one who truly gives to the community and is happy to see community grow. I mean, prove it, and here she is. Little Rock, we are growing, we are young. This is our second boot camp, for Little Rock, Arkansas. We couldn't hold it physically because of the inclement weather and the cold and the snow. But here she is again, here to support us and also to give out amazing knowledge so that we can learn together. So I'm going to be launching the next speaker that we have for today, who is Epridona. She will be taking us through adding more power to your processes with Prompt Builder. This is personally, I'm looking forward to this because it's not just about AI, it's about AI that solves problem. And yes, when you learn through Prompt Builder and how it can add more power to the existing power you have in your hands, Power Platform is power to the people, is power in your hands. And what if you can add more power to this leveraging the Prompt Builder? That to me is massive. So let me just take you through the brief intro of who Epridonam is. Epridonam is a principal cloud advocate at Microsoft. Microsoft Power Platform advocacy team specializing in low-code development and AI-enriched applications. She is a Microsoft MVP alumni. She's a certified trainer, and she focuses on educating developers through various platforms, including LinkedIn Learning, a YouTube channel. As a matter of fact, I have a question for April, how she manages to lead a team at Microsoft and a lot of resources she still put out there on our YouTube channel. So amazing. Recently, I was trying to build an autonomous agent within Copilot Studio, and to be very honest, a recent use case on Microsoft, I think, Learn Community YouTube channel was the thing I was looking out for. How she led us through that end to end, very detailed, very practical life scenario, real life scenario that you can actually follow to get many things done. So I wonder how she manages to do this, continuing with her work and also running the YouTube channel, giving back to people everywhere. Our expertise spans Power Platform, Microsoft 365, Azure, and .NET, with emphasis on enterprise solutions and AI integration. Join me as we make welcome April. Hi, April.
Okay. Oh, okay. So I'm having issues.
Okay. Glad we
To actually have my camera on. They just won't let me start it. Hopefully the presentation will work. Thank you, first of all, so much for having me and for that wonderful introduction. Really happy to be here to talk more about prompts. So I'm going to try sharing my screen again and hope that it works this time and doesn't give me the error that it was giving me before here. So let me know if we're good. Nope, still saying the browser can't access your screen. Okay. Let me figure this out because I definitely want to show you what we can do with Prompt Builder. I might have to leave and rejoin if that's an option to see what is going on with StreamYard. I use it all the time, but of course, this is the one time it gives me a little bit of trouble. So I'll be right back and see if leaving and rejoining helps.
Right. Okay, April Donald will be back shortly. Do you see? If you're excited, I mean, come on, guys. There are so many events going on everywhere right now, and she chooses and find her time to be with us. Oh, Tolu Victor said, thank Tolu. I can't wait for a session tomorrow at Nigeria. You are doing amazing one. Thank you for supporting. I see how you are liking and responding to our post online. I thank you for supporting. You can split yourself. You can be everywhere, but being able to still support us over here in Little Rock, Arkansas shows that your impact is spanning across several continents. He said, love the teaching style of Emmanuel. I can confirm my 11-year-old son is now a power automator. So I didn't know that. I didn't get that part of your son, but okay, I'll follow up with your son. Maybe your son will not mentor me since he's an expert and I'm not yet an expert. All right. Thank you so much, Tolu, for sharing your comment. I know. And guys, April Donham will be back. And again, wherever you are, please go ahead and comment and share this. We will learn about Prompt Builder today. And let me just share briefly with you why this session she's bringing up is very significant. Even if it's going to be 15 minutes, 20 minutes of us having an idea what this Prompt Builder is. Remember, Emmanuel was sharing with us how to build an automated process. He showed us how to create your first cloud automation flow where you can connect to a form and then send personalized email to people. The value of what Emmanuel showed us is significant. Number one, today, many comments, many feedback, many customer inquiry are lost in the email or lost in the form. You will ask us to share your feedback. Or for example, you go out there to shop, you go out to do something, they send you email and ask you to fill the form to just share your feedback. You submit that feedback, it's lost. Probably nobody is even responding to that, because everything go back to a form, to a backend where people are not even attending to real time. One. Number two, sometimes they go back to it at the end of the month. That is when they, get to analyze the data. And when they're analyzing your comment, might even get lost in the midst of all other comments, either positive or negative. If you are not happy with the service and you said, I'm not happy, and nobody answer you for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you feel like, man, these people are not even, they're really not conscious. They're not mindful of me. They just want me to talk. They just want me to vest my anger and then to the empty hair. That's what it looks like. So customers are really not satisfied. But take, for example, what if, Comfort Mike, I just joined and I guess I missed something earlier. Everyone is talking about the Manuel presentation. I will have to rewatch the video later. Thank you, Manuel. Yes, glad we have this saved, that is recorded. So definitely, Manuel, you will be able to join this. All right. Okay, so thank you, you for, yeah, all right. So back here, and yeah, you'll be able to watch this and do that again. So I'm just connecting and getting feedback from April. She's so nice that she's also telling us what is happening. She's trying to restart her system now, so she'll be back shortly. All right. So to me, and you've learned how what Emmanuel is doing is solving the first layer of the problem. Okay, so when I submit my response now, I can then get I can get email from you saying, hey, we have received your response, we are working on this, we'll get back to you, or we're acknowledging it. Awesome. At least someone is responding to me now. That's a sign. In the past, nobody responded. But now you fill a form, you submit, and so say, oh, you have acknowledged it. Hey, these people are listening to me. Yes. That is one layer of value adding, because you feel connected to these people. That, hey, they're listening to me. So anytime they ask me for feedback, I can answer, I can drop something, because I know that they're acknowledging that I'm sending something. How about someone who is so annoyed and might churn? Is a customer who might later leave you because he's not happy. Are you going to, do you think it is sufficient to say, we have received your response, we're going to get back to you, all those kind of things? In that layer, that might not be sufficient. How about being able to determine that person's emotion when the person submits the form? And you're able to take proactive actions on that. Remember, there are two things. First, in the past, we are not even responding to this person. Now you are responding. Awesome. We're happy you are better than customer or company A, who just collect your feedback and at the end of the month, everything get lost or might not even remember to analyze. Customer B, company B, always, whenever you respond, whenever I fill the form, they will get back to you. They will send you automated email that acknowledges what, the value you have added, or the feedback you have provided. And company C, when you fill that form, either you're happy or sad or neutral, they are able to collect the response real time and analyze the response real time to determine the emotion. And if the emotion is really significantly negative, they send you a kind of apology email, and they send email as well to the customer team and prioritize and create a task, prioritizing that they should respond to this person. If it is happy, yes, they send you something. May even ask you and recommend, if you like this and you're happy, you might want to check the other service we have too, because that person, since is in a happy mood, might be able to spend more. You're upselling the person. If the person is neutral, you can just acknowledge, we appreciate you, we do this, I hope you continue to do business with us. To be able to do all these things where you can literally, you can keep a customer who is about churning from that solution, because you detect the emotion, you respond, you take actions, and you have alert customer service, and you have set SLA. This customer must be called in 30 minutes. Anyone that reaches this point is boiling. We must call that customer and resolve that issue. You are able to keep customer. That's reduced cost, because cost of keeping a customer is higher than acquiring new one. So you have saved the cost. So the value of an automated solution: first, cost reduction. The second angle, that person is so happy. And if you're happy, then you should be able to buy more product. Check this out. Check the other one out. That person might be in the mood, might have some extra dollars. He's going to buy the product. What have you done there? Upsell, increase revenue. Remember, you have saved cost, you are increasing revenue. That is how this simple process we just described, this is how valuable and impactful it can be to business. If you carry this understanding and you are just waiting for the opportunity to get it done, at least you have an idea. It doesn't have to be extremely complex. So April is going to show us how here, because without an engine that can real-time analyze the sentiment, you might not be able to derive this extra value we are talking about. If you don't know the sentiment, either positive or negative, you cannot tell if we're going to keep this customer, if we're going to increase our revenue. Do you know how it is? Can you see what we're talking about right here? So the prompt builder allows you to fine-tune AI within Power Platform in such a way that it can do whatsoever you want it to do. Analyzing a comment is just one simple thing. It is going to show us the magic, where you can even analyze documents, where you can upload something and it takes up the file, do many things around the file, extract the data from the file, take it to somewhere else. Man, this is wizard. So she's back in the classic studio experience. I'm so happy to have April back now.
Oh gosh. Wow. Sorry about that.
Yeah, it's the fun part about technology. Sometimes we get it in control, but sometimes it's just out of control. At the early start of this program too, I was trying to share the keynote message, and for about 2-3 minutes, I was just like, okay, I know how to use computer, but what is happening to me?
Yeah, sometimes your computer just demands a total reboot to get everything working. So that's what I had to do. I appreciate your patience.
True. Yeah. Thank you so much. We have you right now, and
Great.
I'm gonna give it over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. I'll make up the time, I promise, because the topic I have to talk about here we can go as deep as we want, we can go as light as we want here. So I'm going to talk about how to add more power to your processes with Prompt Builder. I'll skip all the introductions because I think Lee gave a great introduction there, but I work at Microsoft as a cloud advocate with a team of amazing advocates there. So love talking about the Power Platform and AI and everything that you can do with it. So we're going to be talking about Prompt Builder, and that's a part of the overall Power Platform. So with Prompt Builder, we can use that inside, it's a part of AI Builder actually, we can use that inside many of the Power Platform applications like Power Apps and Power Automate to automate processes, and Copilot Studio and all of that. So I mentioned Prompt Builder as part of AI Builder. So that is a low-code suite of tools for different AI models that we can use. So we have various AI models to do things like document and invoice processing, but we also have AI prompts as part of AI Builder. This is a newer part in addition to AI Builder, where we can actually put in our own custom prompts and use those to augment the processes and the solutions that we're building in the Power Platform. So I'll talk a little bit about what we can do with these prompts, show you a few scenarios, and how to write effective prompts. So just to get you a better idea of what we can do though in AI Builder as a whole, not just within the prompts category here, there's a lot of generative AI capabilities. So if we want to utilize prompts to be able to categorize emails, detect language, extract key phrases, we can do that. But we also have models built specifically for things like document processing. So if you want to be able to process receipts, do OCR on different text, maybe extract information from passports and driver's license, there are already pre-built models in AI Builder that you just plug and play, that you can be able to configure those and use that. Same thing for images and even structured data. We have models that you can just really quickly train with your specific data. But what we're really going to be focused on here is Prompt Builder, which is now generally available. So it allows you to build these prompt-based actions. So you put in your set of instructions for the GPT model. So we can use GPT-4 or GPT-4o mini inside of AI Builder, and then we can work with our data. So I'll show you a scenario where we can, within the prompt itself, without even adding this into an app or an automation, we can have it directly reference data in Dataverse. And it even has a pre-built prompt library that we can reference here as well to help you get started and give you some ideas of what you can do with these prompts. So what are the main scenarios that we can do with prompts, just to get the gears rolling in your head of how you can apply this to maybe some things that you're working on in your business? Well, one, document processing, of course, but it's really good for content generation. I know if we worked with any GPT model, whether that be Copilot, ChatGPT, we probably have all used that for some kind of content generation. I use it all the time for my YouTube channel to help me brainstorm titles and descriptions and everything and tags. So it's really good at that content generation piece. So that could be meaning replying to emails. If you want to set up a Power Automate flow that can automatically reply to emails with some standard text, that's a really good use case for a prompt. But it can even do more sophisticated things like data analysis, identity validation, you name it. So many scenarios. It would take me probably an entire session just to mention all of the scenarios that you can use prompts for in Prompt Builder. Now, when it comes to actually utilizing these in your processes, the main ways that you'll probably do that is, one, with Power Apps, to make the apps that you're building more intelligent with AI. So we have the ability to just add in any of these prompts that you're creating as data sources inside of the application. So these allow you to extend what's possible out of the box. I'll show you an example of this in this lost and found scenario, where we can actually have an application that allows you to upload an image, and it can extract and use a prompt to get key information about that image to add into a database. And then it's really great when you compare that as well with Power Automate to be able to extend your automation scenarios. So you can customize the behavior here. So maybe when an email is received, if you want to do that auto reply scenario that we talked about, you can have it execute and call one of the prompts that you create, do everything that you're suggesting in the prompt, and then go perform all the other actions inside of your flow, and as well as Copilot Studio even. So with that, let's just go right into how to craft a prompt, and then we'll go into the demo. So when you're thinking about writing these prompts for Prompt Builder to use in Power Apps, Power Automate, Copilot Studio, you want to use this general format, which is you start off with the task, then you do the context, the expectations, and the output. So an example of this in a real life prompt would be starting with the task of create a product feedback summary. The context would be based off of recent customer reviews. And this box you're seeing here is where we can pull in dynamic content. So this could either be, if we're using this in a flow, it could be data that we pass in from the trigger, or if we're using it in an app, it could be information from a field in the application that we're using, whatever that might be. And then the expectations. The summary should identify key themes, overall sentiment, and any recurring issues and praises. And then finally, we have control over the output. And I'll show you some more examples of this in the demo, but we can do things like, say, format the output to be concise and present the information in a clear, easy to understand manner for a marketing team meeting. So that's an example kind of a well-formatted prompt. Now let's go into the fun part, which is the demo, and we'll just actually see some of this in action. So how do we get to the prompt builder experience? Well, we can either get to it from make.powerapps.com or make.powerautomate.com. So I'm over here on the Power Automate portal, and what you'll see, if you're not seeing it on the left-hand side here in the navigation, you can go to more, and you should see either an AI hub or an AI prompt section. And what I like to do, since I use a lot of AI prompts, is I'll use this little thumbtack and I'll pin that to the left navigation so I don't have to go hunting for it every time I want to build some prompts. So when you click on that AI prompt section, you'll see all of the prompts that you built. Now I'm going to switch to a different environment because that's where I have all of the cool prompts that I'm using here. So I'll go over to my developer environment here, and we'll just take a look at kind of some of the prompts that I have in there, and then first just how you actually go and create one. So I mentioned one that we have a prompt library. So if you were to just create a new blank prompt, so one of the things that you have here is all of these sample prompts. So if you want to quickly summarize text, you can just click on that and it will give you a ready to use prompt where you can just pass in your data that gives you a good summarization of text. So I use this particular one a lot to summarize really long emails that I get. So that's really handy and helpful. Now another one though, let's just actually go back in here and I'll show you the prompt library. So this is actually pulling some curated prompts, but also prompts from our prompt repo, which I'll talk about a little bit more later on in the resources for different things that you might want to do here. We could even have it analyze emoji sentiments. So like so many interesting use cases that you might want to be able to look at. It can help you do some smart goal setting, creating FAQs. It can help you troubleshoot IT problems. So any of these things, maybe I want to get a list of interview questions. It gives me that sample prompt, and then I can use that from the prompt library. Now, when it comes to actually creating a prompt, there's a few things that you can do. I'm going to go to one that I already have created. So let's take a look, maybe, for example, at this feedback review. So any prompts that you do create in your environment, they'll be environment dependent, and they'll show right here. So you see we have these tabs for my prompts, any prompts that have been shared with you, if one of your colleagues creates those and shares them with you, and then all prompts where you can just see everything and you'll be able to see the owner of the prompt, kind of what permissions has, the status, if it's maybe only been trained but not published, and the model type, if it's a custom or AI function and all that. So this is kind of your internal prompt gallery, really, that you have available to you. So if you want to ever edit one of these, you just go into it, and then I'll take you open into the prompt builder experience where you can continue to tweak this. So this is just a really simple, straightforward prompt using kind of a feedback scenario here where I want to get feedback about a widget that we built. So I wanted to do a few things. So you see I'm giving those instructions like we suggested to do a count of positive, neutral, and negative reviews and identify key themes. And what I did is I've added an input. And how we add inputs so we can dynamically put data in here is we just can do in our prompt here a /. And now we have the ability to either add text, or one of the newer things that we can do thanks to some of the new GPT models is the ability to reference directly an image or a document. So this could be like a PNG image or a PDF in this example. So if we wanted to reference an image or document, we can, or we can add Dataverse data. So as you see, when I do that /, we have all of the Dataverse tables that I have in this particular environment accessible for me to reference. And I'll show you an example of where that might be used later on. So we would just, maybe if we wanted to add another input here, and I could say a text input, maybe I could say reviews too, and then we can add that in and add the input, right? So, and where those live is right here in the upper right-hand corner. Here are all of the inputs that we have. So there's my reviews. And one of the things that we can do that I love about Prompt Builder is if I want to use this in an automation, I don't have to go and first build my prompt, then go build out my automation and run through this whole test scenario just to make sure this works. I can put in for any of my inputs here sample data. So you see I've preloaded this with some review information. So we have a mixture of some positive reviews. We have a star rating here, kind of a 5 out of 5 and some information. And then we have more negative, neutral reviews as we go down. So there's a 1 out of 5 rating. And I can use this to test to make sure that it's doing the summary, the feedback summary correctly as I intend to. So those are our inputs. Let's just do a quick test and see how the testing experience works. So I'm going to test out that prompt using that sample data that I put into this input that we defined. And there you go. If we kind of expand that, here's everything that I asked it to do. It gave me a count of the positive reviews, negative, neutral, sentiment, some of the key themes here, and recurring issues and praises and all of that. Everything I asked it to do. Now I can take this and put it in an automation and have it automatically send out this report to my marketing colleagues just with that simple scenario. Now, what if I want to do more though? So what if I want to integrate, say, with Dataverse, or maybe I want to integrate this with a Power App? So I'm going to show you an example of what we could do here in this lost and found scenario. So what I did is created another prompt, and imagine we're in an airport, we get a lot of lost and found items, and we need a way to be able to easily categorize those and put those in a database so that we can manage all of the lost and found items so people can go and see those and go claim them. So to help this process, I want to build a simple application, and I'll just move over to the app real quick and show you what I'm talking about. We'll kind of run this, where someone can upload a picture of the item that they found. And then I want this to go and call this prompt that we're building so that I can automatically categorize everything. I don't have to put in if this is a a phone or something like that, or what it is and the color and all the details. It just has the AI model do that for me. So I'll walk you through how the app works. But first, let's finish looking at the prompt. So what I'm asking it to do here is you're an AI agent working at a lost and found office. So I'm giving it the context of what it is. So this is another thing you can do with prompts, is you can kind of give it more of a persona to ground the prompt here. And your primary task involves examining images of lost items, identifying, categorizing them, and recording relevant details. So this is where we're using that different kind of input. So I'm saying for each photo, highlight these steps. So I'm using, in this case, this image or document input. So if we look at the inputs here, we can upload a sample image or document to test it, or we can reference that and pass that through our Power App, which I'll show you how we do that. So I'm telling it specifically what I want it to do. I want it to have the identification of what the item is, the number of items, extract the details and all that. And then I want to be able to have people already report the item lost. So I want them to reference some Dataverse data in this example. So I wanted to get information and compare it to the already existing list of lost items that we have inside of Dataverse. So again, same thing here. When I added in that input, I just used my / and I referenced Dataverse data. I can do it that way, or there's a special section, and if you look at this data icon, where we can add additional knowledge from Dataverse here as well. So you just map to the table where you want to reference, and you can even put in filter attributes. So if I only wanted to have it reference items that are currently pending or something like that, I can add in additional filter values here as well. So I'm asking it to do that, and then please output the email of the possible owner as well, and then if no one was reported, return empty. So I'm asking it to do all this complex reasoning, basically, just by crafting this prompt. And this is going to save a lot of time rather than having to do this manually in our application scenario. So let's look at how we kind of built this airport lost and found app before we go and see it in action and how it all ties together with the prompt, because I want to show you how you can reference one of these prompts as a data source inside of your Power App. So we're going to get that loading here. All right. So it's a really simple application if we look at it, just a few different screens. I'm allowing them to upload a picture, and then this will actually take the picture and then go put that in a collection, all of that, capture the image, and then take us to a page where we go and put information about that item. So here, this is where we would want some AI assistance with our prompt to be able to automatically get the name, category, number of items, and then any other details. So that's why we have this autofill button. That's where we can just say, hey, have AI and have our prompt fill this detail in for us. And how we first do that is we need to go over to our data sources, and you'll go to add data, and you can just search for the name of your prompt. So in our case, it's the airport agent. So I just searched and added that in like any data source. And you'll see this icon here, which is the kind of AI builder icon with a brain, and then it'll say custom prompt. So you know that's your prompt that you're adding in here. So it just acts as any data source to add it in, and then to actually call it. If we look at this autofill button, that's where we're doing the calling in of the prompt itself and getting the information. So we're going to go to the on select. Okay. And here we're going to kind of set some variables and everything, and then parse some JSON. And then this right here is this main part. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Nope, struggling a little bit to make it much bigger. But we're going to set the image description to the airport agent. So we're just calling the name of the data source, and we're doing a .predict. So that's how you call and execute a prompt. And then in the open parentheses, just like any data source that you're using, that's where if there's any required inputs for that data source, you would put those in. So in the case of our prompt, if we reference that one more time, the only required input that we had is this photo that we need to pass in. So that's what it's asking for back here in our Power FX, is for us to pass in the image, which I'm getting from that image control. Right? So that's how easy it is to call one of these AI prompts from Power Apps. And if we had multiple inputs, we would just do a comma and add in those additional inputs as well. Okay, So I'm calling that. Let's just take a look at the scenario. So this is what it would look like as an end user running this application to show you kind of some of the cool things that we can do with this. So I found a lost and found item. I'm going to add the picture here. And let's see, we'll go over to some of my images. I'll go, yeah, let's see if it recognizes this. This is funny. I just built this over the weekend. It's a Lego Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy. So we're going to click to have it recognize the image there. So I would have to, again, manually fill this, but I can just click my autofill, and I'm going to have it call that AI prompt and see if it can get all of that information for me without me having to do all this typing. And we could bypass this step of doing the autofill. So as soon as I click that capture button on the home screen, I could have it execute that prompt and just automatically do that as well. So it's really up to you how you want to define that experience. This just gives you the option to do either way, if you want to put it in yourself or if you want to have the prompt do that. Okay, cool. So you see it was able to get all the details. So for the name, it identified it as a Lego set. The category, it identified it as a toy. There's just one item in there, and then it gave some additional details here. Lego Marvel set. It even got the model number, which is really cool because I don't know where or how it even saw that in the picture. So I was like able to use its general knowledge there to look that up, and then featuring Groot character. So it was able to identify that that's Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy, which is really cool. So it just saved me a ton of time. And the other cool thing you'll notice, this is a rich text field, kind of a multi-line of text. We can even rewrite the text with Copilot. So this is a feature, if you haven't looked at it, that's just baked into Power Apps in your Canvas applications that lets you rewrite things with Power Apps. But we have our image here, so I can just have it save the lost item. And thanks to that prompt, I just saved a lot of time not having to enter in all that stuff. And now there you go. It's right here inside of our lost and found gallery. So that's a really cool scenario of how you could use this inside of an app and how you could pass in values dynamically and how it's referencing the underlying Dataverse data. So we mentioned in the prompt here that we're saying, hey, kind of compare this to the already reported items. So if we look in our data sources, this is the behind the scenes of where it's adding that data and where it's referencing that data. So we did have one Lego set in there already, but it was a rows, so there's no conflicting existing lost and found items in there that we're scanning, and it's doing that recognition thanks to our prompt. So that's kind of the behind the scenes of what we had there. So if we go back then, so what we've looked at so far is, we've looked at how to put our custom inputs, and those inputs can even reference images. We've looked at how to add knowledge with Dataverse data. Now let's look at some other things that we can do here. One is the models. So if you go into any of the prompts that you're building and click on this settings gear, you'll have the model. So the default model is the standard GPT-4o mini, and that is good for most tasks. Basically, if you're not needing to reference any images or documents in the prompt that you're building, then you'll probably go in default to GPT-4o mini. But the minute that you want to reference images and documents, you have to use the advanced GPT-4o model because that's what enables you to do all of that processing of documents and images. So it's just a simple toggle in your prompt. They do have different kind of capacity and stuff that you use. And you'll notice even that the GPT-4o mini is disabled as long as I have a photo reference input in there. The other things to be aware of when you're using your prompts is temperature. So this is basically how creative that you want your prompt to be. So for most tasks that we would be using to automate business processes, you're probably going to want very predictable outcomes. So in this case, I want it to do very specific things. I want it to do that identification and categorization and extracting of the number of items. So this would be a good case to keep the temperature at its default of 0, meaning it's going to be very predictable, like very factual. However, if you want to do something more creative, like I want it to help me draft maybe a blog post or an essay or a short story, right? That's an example where you might toggle this up a little bit. So it can go all the way up to 1, which is kind of the highest temperature, which that means it's going to be more creative to maybe make some things up. It's going to try to be, it'll be a little less factual and to the point of what you have in your prompt, and it might go out and do some more creative things. And this could lead to more what's called hallucinations, if we've heard of that, when using generative AI, where it kind of makes some things up that may or may not be true. So do be careful when you are turning up this temperature. This is going to increase your likelihood of hallucinations, but it is good in those really creative scenarios to maybe toggle that up and just experiment. I would usually go up one little point or two, test your prompt, see what output you get to find out what temperature is best for your specific use case. The other new thing we have here is record retrieval. So this will specify how many records that it'll actually return from knowledge sources. So this is when it's calling that Dataverse data to see, say, if there's any existing similar items in lost and found. The default number of records is going to look through and retrieve is 30, but you can take that all the way up to 1,000. So, but just be careful, because that's going to make your prompt take much longer to execute the higher that you turn up that record retrieval value. Another new thing that we have in settings is to include links in the response. So if we've used Microsoft Copilot, or if we've used even Copilot Studio, one of the things that those tools do to be able to cite their sources is they'll include any links where they got information from. So you can toggle this checkbox, and that will include links of where the record was retrieved. So if we're referencing Dataverse knowledge and it found a duplicate item, if you click on the include links in the response, you could have it say, hey, I found a duplicate item for this, and it could be a clickable link for you to go see that. So these are all features that you'll want to be aware of that you may or may not turn on or change depending on your use case. The other one here is the output. So one of the things here that we can do is we can either have a text output or we can have a JSON output. So what I did for this particular prompt actually is have it output to JSON. And if we look at this edit button, we can even specify the format that we want the JSON to be in. So I wanted to have the identification, the categorization, number of items, the details, and likely reported by all filled out in this particular format. So this is really helpful in our scenario of integrating with the Power App, where we know we want to be able to take this information, do this categorization, and add it into a database. So rather than just having a big long block of text that we'd have to go and extract key information out of, we have it all formatted for us in the JSON that we need. So we can see how this kind of outputs if we were to just test this prompt rather than using it from the Power App. Let me upload an image here. I'll upload, here we go, my guitar. So that's a picture of a guitar I have, and we'll just test it, and we'll see how it's outputting that in that format for us as we test this one out. So that's this right here is a really big time saver. Depending on, again, your use case and what you're wanting to do with the output of the data that you have for your prompts here. And notice too, like, so there's all the Dataverse data that's referencing. So some of this could have been done where if I wanted to combine this with a flow, I could have just had the basic prompt and then added actions to get the data from Dataverse, but I'm bypassing all that and just able to reference that and put that in the instructions via my prompt. And there you go. There is the output exactly as I want it here in that JSON format. So a light blue guitar. Yep, it even got, wow, the level of detail is really cool, what it's able to extract in these details. So this is my Gibson guitar. So it's semi-hollow body, 2 humbucker pickups. I mean, it has all of that crazy level of detail, which is really awesome. And then we can see the knowledge used as well. So that's just a quick overview of kind of what we can do with prompts. Again, I could take this same one. I could use it inside of Power Automate as well. But in the interest of time, I want to share some resources for how you can get started and get some more ideas for some of the prompts that you can do. We have a prompt library. That's the first one I want to make sure everyone knows about. If you go to aka.ms/power platform-prompts, we have a bunch of curated AI Builder prompts in there. So Philippe from the AI Builder team has some great ones in there, like Gomo, and a lot of the other advocates on my team have some good prompt samples. So if you want to get some more ideas of what people are doing with these prompts and what you can do, definitely check that out. And the cool thing is, if you are building some of these prompts in AI Builder, or even prompts for Power Apps Copilot or whatever it might be, you could share those in this repo and you can get a badge. So you can get this Prompt Pro badge. It's a Credly certified badge that you can share on your LinkedIn profile and all that. So definitely check that out and help others by contributing to the community, and so that they can see what they can do with prompts. And then just some other resources. There is a really great prompt guide that the AI Builder team put together, just covering those details of how you really craft an effective prompt to get the results that you want. You could try them out just by going to that short link if you want to give this a try out yourself. We have a learning path as well that covers how to use AI Builder. There's a section in there in the prompt section where it shows you how to do that Dataverse integration. So it has a hands-on exercise you can go through. And we're also in the middle of Powerful Devs Hack Together. So if you want to be able to, maybe you have a cool idea for a prompt scenario in an application that you want to build out, it's going on until the end of next week. And if you submit a hack for that, you have a chance to win up to $550 in one of our different prize categories. So we have a Best in AI category, for example, that you might want to submit in if this is a topic of interest for you. So definitely go to that short link to find out more and how to register and how to take part. So with that, hopefully I made up some time because of the technical difficulties that I had there, but I really appreciate you all and happy to answer any questions kind of after the fact or on LinkedIn, whatever you might have.
Wow, this is impressive. Just before you joined April, I explained to them the previous session was about building automated cloud flow for the first time, and it's connected to Microsoft Form and also send email to people. And I explained to them that they can actually give more power to that process by leveraging AI capability. And I'm so happy because your session just do justice to that. I see a lot of potentials, a lot of possibilities of what we can do as a low code and citizen developer, still leveraging AI to bring more value and more impact to the business. And yes, the resources you shared, awesome. I've taken a screenshot of that as well and copied the link and shared. I will continue to drive that. Personally, I will check out the powerful dev challenge that is ongoing. I need to get in. I mean,
Yeah.
when you compete in challenges, hackathon like this, you either win or you win. There's really nothing like losing.
Yep.
If you don't win the prize, you learn something new. You empower yourself, and this is the same mindset that we have in this community. And I'm going to encourage everyone to also share. I will take the link and tweet and share and send again to as many people as registered, so that we can participate in that powerful DX arc together. And for the additional resources you've shared with us, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
There's no question, but I see a lot of comment from people saying, wow, this prompt session is definitely a game changer for me. It's amazing how AI is making things so easy. In fact, Precious said, if you have not shared this link with your friends, you need to do that now because it's a life-changing knowledge. I want to assure our viewers that you can always go back to this video and watch again, because you need to practice and set things up. And these resources, in case you are wondering, oh, where do I start from after this video? Where do I go next? These resources are really awesome because you can go right there and see all the things you need. Don't forget the aka.ms you are seeing, that is the link. So in case you are wondering, AI Builder Prompt Guide, okay, just go to aka.ms/prompt guide. Oh, you want to try out prompt? aka.ms/try prompt. So that way you can access all the resources that is being shared right here. Thank you very much, April. We are so grateful.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. And now we're going to move on to the next session. I have my guys right on stage, always ready, to get these things done. The next session, we also have our speaker here. If you guys are learning, please continue to drop comments. We would like to feature your comments. We like to get to know what you're doing. If you even have questions, go ahead and ask your question. So our next speaker, which is on stage, I'm going to hand that over to Blessing, who's going to take us through this.
Yes, thank you, Ola. So our next speaker is going to be Salim Oyinlola. He's going to be taking us through a Copilot Studio 101 session, which is building your first AI power chatbot. And just to kind of introduce him a bit. So Salim is an electrical and electronics engineering undergraduate at the University of Lagos and an IEE Computer Society Richards scholar. He's a Microsoft Learn student ambassador and GitHub campus expert. He specializes in AI, machine learning, IoT, and cloud computing. He conducts research at the university's AI and robotics laboratory while advocating for mental health through his Sound as a Bell initiative. He has earned 3 Microsoft Azure AI engineering certifications and actively contributes to tech community through technical writing and knowledge sharing. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Salim to the stage. Um,
Can you hear me now?
yes, we can hear you.
All right, awesome. First of all, thanks so much for that warm introduction. I'm super excited to be presenting here. I think seeing Oyinbuke as well. I know Oyinbuke personally, so seeing him here, it's quite heartwarming. I'm just gonna get my session started. Give me a second, please. Let me get my screen up.
I'm happy to have you too, Salim.
Thank you very much. So good to see you once again.
Yeah.
Just give me a second, please. Okay, so I think I have my screen up now. Okay, we're good to go. All right, guys. So, as Blessing rightly said, I'm a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador from Nigeria here at the University of Lagos, and I'm really excited to be joining in this boot camp. I was opportune to listen to the latter part of April's session, and it was quite informative. It's quite the hack to follow, but I'm really excited nonetheless. Okay, so today I'll be talking about Copilot Studio 101, just basically how to build a first AI powered chatbot. I have a presentation slide I've prepared. Afterwards, I'll then have a quick demo, but I'll mainly focus on the presentation slide and then we'll talk through to that. All right, so once again, my name is Salim Oinola, Gold Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador from Nigeria. Also a GitHub Campus expert. I go by Salim Oinola on all social media platforms, Twitter, everywhere basically. Salim Oinola, simple as that. I build AI solutions, and fun fact about that, I started building AI solutions in 2022 when I became a Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador, and I tell people a lot that when I think about my career, my tech career's growth, and I think about it with respect to the tech community, I think I've had so much more growth. Like my growth became exponential. I mean, I was doing okay on my own, but then with the strength of community that set up within my local community here, I've just seen an immense growth in my tech career, being able to go with people with similar interests. So I also because I enjoy learning and also share what I've learned with other people. So I write technical articles on everything between AI, machine learning, cloud computing, particularly Microsoft Azure. So I'm really interested in Microsoft Azure, and I really love the concept of storytelling. I feel like the way I feel about storytelling is such that if I told you a story, I'm willing to bet you'd remember. But if I tell you random facts, odds are that you probably forget after a while. But then storytelling is just beautiful. I also love me a good sitcom. I just add that there. So you're probably wondering who the target audience for this session is. It's for beginners, people with little to no experience in chatbots development or AI. So it's not exactly, you don't have to be a PhD candidate in machine learning or AI research for you to understand the session. It's pretty easy for you to follow through. I'll do to the best of my ability. I'll try to make it pretty easy to follow through with. And my big objective here is to enable attendees to understand the basics of Copilot Studio. I'll probably going to build a simple and functional chatbot by the end of the session. I'll build it. You can follow through with that. And yeah, here's my agenda. We'll talk about an introduction to conversational AI and Copilot Studio. Just giving more context about what conversational AI is. Remember, I mentioned that the session is mainly for beginners and people with no experience. So I want to add more context to what AI is in the context of conversational AI. Talk about Copilot's building basics. Furthermore, I would like to talk about how to think about Copilots. I've said Copilots at this point. If I have to do a word count, probably about 10 times. So just talking to you about how to think about Copilots. Furthermore, building conversational experiences, because we're building chatbots. So you're probably going to also talk a bit more on how to build experiences for who's going to be using your chatbot such that they have a good experience. And finally, would land, so to speak, with Microsoft's Copilot Studio. So let's start. Let's get started. All right. So conversational AI. Let's start all the way from AI. AI. The way I think about AI in general, AI is giving a computer or a system, so to speak, the ability to do what I would normally think to be intelligent in a human being. So anything you probably think, oh, this person doing this, and that person is pretty intelligent. That's AI. So if you're a sales rep and you can answer virtually every question within your knowledge scope about your company's products, I probably think, oh, this person is really good at what they do as a sales rep. And more importantly, oh, that person is really intelligent. So that's AI right there. So if a computer can do that, then that's AI. Similarly, if I could prompt you right now and tell you, okay, can you give me an essay on the Roman Empire before the 1980s, and you can just spit out facts right away. That's intelligence. I'll be like, oh, you're probably a genius in this field. And AI being able to do that, I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of LLMs can do that. And that's just, I think for me, that's just a good metric to think about AI in the sense of what is exactly is AI. Because I have loads of conversations on the internet about is it AI or is it if and else statements, you feel me? So just being able to, I think that's a good metric. Now, conversational AI is now doing something that I would predominantly think as intelligence in a human being, right? But then computer doing that in the context of a conversation. So you'll agree with me that there's a growing number of communication channels. We need to constantly, if I were to order something from our e-commerce website, for instance, I would really want to perhaps have follow-up questions. Let's say my delays a bit late. You want to have questions to that effect. Even I get this as of a sales rep earlier on, and it's important. I mean, we live in the world of AI. It's 2025, and as much as possible, we're constantly trying to automate as many processes as possible. April touched on that in the session, so just try to automate processes, and we feel like that process I just mentioned is one of those processes you can actually automate. Now, also with businesses, you have higher customer demands, higher colleague demands, higher expectations, and if this process is such that we can actually automate it, it's like why not? Let's automate it by all means. We can also streamline our workforces, making sure because we have higher workloads and capacity constraints. Now, being able to have AI do that for you, that would go a long way. Now, what does that do in turn? It helps optimize our digital workforce. It helps with faster time to value because I mean, time is money, so to speak, right? So if you can automate these processes such that you can spend time on other things, I mean, by all means do that. So that's what we have with the light bulb here because you have more time for innovation. Now, what's the momentum of conversational AI? Because I'm talking about this thing. Why is it really something we need? And let's talk about the momentum. What's going on? What's happening? What are you saying about it? So I got out these three statistics from three different sources. And the first one says that by 2026, that's next year, 30% of work activities, including the use of technology, will be conversationally enabled. Right? Furthermore, we have that by 2026, next year as well. So we have to watch out now. We have barely 10 months, a little over 10 months left. But in 10 months' time, the conversational AI and artificial intelligence deployment within contact centers, you're not going to believe this, but then it's estimated that it's going to reduce the agent labor cost by $80 billion. Okay. And that's just to talk about the trend of what's going on. If we continue at this pace, what we can save in cost and time. I talk about time being money, but like this just talk about cost now. $80 billion will be saved. And then we have the source for that down there. And finally, in 2026, that's next year again. Saying next year is a stretch. In 10 months, actually, up to 80% of organizations' digital experiences will be delivered to consumers via virtual people. So what we're getting from this momentum, from this little graphic here, is telling us that, okay, conversational AI, chatbots, it's coming. And it's as humans, as people in the tech ecosystem, people within this community, the onus is on us all. Because when you think about AI, you want to talk about people talk about AI taking our jobs, but then if we are able to, I feel like the onus is on each and every one of us to scale up such that AI is not really taking our jobs, as opposed to taking our jobs, it's even helping us with our jobs, right? So this is it is statistics that we should keep in mind in terms of conversational AI. Now let's talk about Copilot's building because I've talked about conversational AI, I talked about AI. Let's narrow it down to Copilot's building. Now let's go back to conversational AI for a while. So a chatbot is a conversational experience using trained NLU models. Probably wondering what NLU stands for. It stands for Natural Language Understanding. natural language, what I'm speaking, you need to understand it. So there are models that can do that. They're called NLU models. Now, it's common, most of these chatbots are common to be text-based. You have a data is queried with API versus grounding. You have pre-built content and topics by makers. So what you have usually with existing chatbots, what exists right now is usually have something that has been trained on QA that's question answer pairs. So you probably have if I were to build a chatbot on my university here in Lagos, the University of Lagos, my chatbot, let's say my chatbot is supposed to give details about the university. I'll probably have questions like where's the best where is the faculty of art in the school? I'm talking about the location of faculty of art. It's a question answer pair. You have questions around how do I get to the male block hostel? You probably have questions, you have answers to that effect. You have things that you probably see in the frequent asked questions section of a website. You have it as question answers pair, and then you move from there. Now, what we can go to do with Copilot takes us to the next level because it enables more than just text formats. That's the first thing to note here. Furthermore, you can work with your internal and external data source. I will touch on that when I show a demo later on. But the big idea is you can source data as opposed to having question answer pairs. You can source your data that your chatbot is being trained on from just a website. So I could pick up something like a Wikipedia page. Let's say I pick up a Wikipedia page for University of Lagos, for instance. I uploaded that. My data or my chatbot is trained on that. It knows everything on that. I can then ask it, who is the vice chancellor of the school? It gives me the answer because it's been trained on that. And it could work with that's the external source. Now, internal source could also be SharePoint documents. It doesn't have to be something external, like SharePoint documents that I share with people within the Microsoft workspace. That works as well. Then generative AI powering Copilots building and response generation connected to your apps. I think that's what my favorite thing about the Microsoft ecosystem. You connect to your teams, to your dynamics, just everyone in the ecosystem, everyone, it's good, so to speak, right? And then you can just connect it everywhere. Finally, it's really flexible to configure and just based on my personal experience. For instance, building a chatbot about University of Lagos for a bunch of middle-aged people. I probably want to change experience from what it's like to build for a bunch of teenagers. You feel me? That's a bit different. I don't think about the demographic, just not really demographic per se, but like the context of the experience I'm trying to give out is also very important. And as a habit, the Copilot Studio helps you do that nonetheless. Now, I talked about implementation easily. Back to my point about what I love about the Microsoft ecosystem, how you can easily implement these things. Now, let's work with Copilot for Dynamics 365. That's in the context of a business application, Power Platform. I think attendees bootcamp at this point you know so much about Power Platforms, and I would imagine that as the event goes on, day one and day two, you even learn more about Power Platform. You can also integrate it with security is so important. When we talk about AI, these days you have loads of conversations about data security, just security in the context. And then you can receive tailored insights that empower your team to defend. Copilots for Windows, and of course, Copilots for GitHub. If you push code, I'm willing to bet I use GitHub at some point, right? You use it for your version control, use it for your code, whatever it is you use it for, but you use GitHub and you can easily integrate whatever solution you build the Copilot with GitHub as well. And yeah, I have a little user interface of what the Copilot looks like. I'll share my screen afterwards and I'll show you a full-blown demo. You see how that works. However, just to talk about what you can do with the Microsoft Copilot Studio, you could build your own Copilots, obviously starting from scratch, and then not just build it in the generic sense, you could build it, have it enhanced with large language models. Large language models is over the last, since ChatGPT became publicly available in November 2023, everyone's talking about LLMs, this, generative AI, that. It's a great conversation to that effect, right? So with Microsoft Copilot Studio, you can easily build your Copilot. Not just build it, like I said, not the generic building, not the way you build chatbots 7 years ago with the QAPIs I talked about, but then you could integrate your LLMs to use a generative AI tool as well. Now you can also customize your Microsoft Copilots. I gave the instance earlier about building Copilots for teenagers versus building Copilots for middle-aged persons. That's very different. Furthermore, connecting platforms. And this is where it gets very interesting for me now. I talk about connecting to different applications within the Microsoft ecosystem. So, for instance, it's connected to your teams, connected to Dynamics, whatever it is, right? But furthermore, you can also integrate with your different AI technological stacks. Now, this is exciting for me because I work predominantly in Azure AI. So, you integrate with your Azure AI Studio. Now, your cognitive services, when you think about cognitive services, think about things around the space of speech. You could integrate this with text to speech solution, easily integratable. You have a pipeline, everything works good because with Azure you can create cognitive services that allow your speech, allows you with your language translation, that's language so to speak. You can have it even with your Azure AI, with your Azure AI bot framework, bot framework, everything in that space. And when you think about AI, think about ethics, think about governance. Obviously, you can manage that co-pilot experience such that you're working under the AI ethics and under good governance. Now, your building conversational experiences can be broken up like this pretty descriptive image I've given here. So you have conversational design up there, and one thing that's really key for me is you have to think about as let's say I was puts me in the shoes of a sales rep right now, and I want to think about how do I communicate. Let's say you were to ask me about the University of Lagos. You've never been to Lagos. You've never been to the University of Lagos, for instance. I ask me questions. I can hold a conversation like that. Similarly, the way you think about the bot is not very different from that. Everything I know about University of Lagos is based on the data I've collected throughout my entire stay, subconsciously, of course, throughout my entire stay at the University of Lagos. Similarly, this is shown on whatever you tell it. Now, here's how to think about bots. You have language, you have text and speech, and then you go so what you have right here in the blue encoded part of the sliders. You have language, text and speech. That goes back to cognitive service I talked about earlier on. Generative AI and NLU. I'll talk a bit more about NLU. I know I talked about it briefly earlier, but I'll go in further details as time goes on. And furthermore, I mean, if I were to build a bot here in Lagos, there's this common joke or meme in the tech space around how developers see things like, but it works in my local machine. I mean, you have to export it, you have to auto it. Right? So in a similar sense, I have to publish and auto my model. So having it work, as you see with the demo, right? Having it to work on my personal computer doesn't, I mean, it's good, but that doesn't quite cut it. I would also want to have it published and have it accessible to everyone out there. Now, I'll speak about copilots. So it's very easy to know where a conversation begins and ends. Very easy. Very, very easy. Think about my lead conversation with Ola earlier when I started my session. Started with, hey, it's super nice for me to meet people I know personally, like Ola. That's how I started off. And then he then told me, oh, it's really nice to see me as well. Then I was like, oh, thank you very much. And I got started with the session. Like that little thing, you can know where that started from and where it ended. That's a very practical example I give here. What we have here is you have a start of a conversation, text Madison, what's up? This is you talking about chatbot, for instance, right? Text Madison, what's up? And then it sends a message to Madison. This is chatbot asking, you want it, okay? Can you please text Madison and tell her, okay, what's up? Right? And then success. However, now look at this now. What you see the chatbot do is simple. You told the chatbot to tell Madison what's up. He stops here. He sends a message. However, the middle part is the hard part. This is what you don't know about. And this is what Copilot does a good job of abstracting. I think that's one of the, when I think about Microsoft technologies in general, they do a good job of abstracting the hard parts. The businesses want to, like, when you're talking about when it comes to build solutions to business stakeholders, they just want to get the solution. They're more about the solution. So Microsoft does a good job of preferring business solutions in that sense, and then they kind of like take the hard parts out of it. So what we see here is let's just walk through the workflow. It starts from this is a nice decision tree right here. It starts with text Madison, what's up? First question is, who is Madison? So is Madison even recognized? Starts with that. Now let's say Madison is not recognized, then let's hold on this side. Or yes, Madison, there's one contact named Madison. That's easy. You know the Madison you're talking about. What if you have one contact? Yes, but you have more than one contact. Let's say I know 4 Madisons, for instance. Madison A, Madison B, Madison C. Let's just use A, B, and C as the last names. Now that's a bit. Then you ask a further question. Now I'm going on the right hand side here. Which Madison? And they say, oh, that's true. I have so many Madisons. Go Butler. And then the user input is required. It says from Indiana, and then I don't know, cancels. And another way you can go is it says, oh, you have just one Madison. Does this contact have a phone number? You say no number. Then user input is required. Then because you don't know the number is going to send a text message to, then it says, oh, can you please put Madison's number? You can also be like, you know what, email them instead. Or just put the phone number in here. Or what if it says, yes, Madison, I just want Madison. It says yes, and immediately it sends the number. Now, what if it says, does the person, the person, yes, so you've asked me about this Madison, but the person has more than one number. Immediately it says, okay, the first one, and then you're like, oh, the first one, because it wants to ask you which of the numbers am I reaching out. So see different layers in this this are simple decision tree right here up until moving from This simple text where it says text Madison what's up all the way to sending the text message to Madison. It's now I've said all that, but I've not added generative AI to it. And this is where it gets a bit interesting. Now, it's powered by Azure Open AI Service, and then the idea is it answers, it hacks, and then you build. Copilot Assistant helps you build, design, and modify Copilot's topics through natural language. Again, we keep seeing this natural language word keeps popping up, popping up, popping up, popping up, popping up. And I'll do a good job to explain that as time goes on. Now, what questions, if you are creating a chatbot, you probably have to ask yourself, what questions do I need to get started? What does it mean for your boss to truly, this is just a bunch of open-ended questions that I'd really like for us to think about if you're creating a chatbot. Just think about those questions at the end of the session, right? So what does it mean for your boss to truly answer the question? What does it mean? At what point do I say, I've truly answered this question? Think about that. What are some unexpected responses your boss may encounter? Some people can be really playful in some sense, or sometimes, yeah, just really playful, right? What kind of responses would they give such that you're programming your bots such that it's making up for those edge cases? What data might you need access to and need to integrate with various systems to do so? What assumptions do your users have when they engage with your bots? What assumptions, like, think about, you have to put yourself in the user's shoes now. Like, if I were to use this bot, what are some assumptions I probably have? You want to make up for as many tests or use cases as much as you can. Now, what context your users have when talking with the bot, and does the solution fit that mentor or model? Finally, how can you design a bot that is easy for your users to navigate and find answers they are looking for? These are questions you think about when you're creating your bots. Now, building conversational experiences. I talk about users. Who is a user? This is keep in mind, the user is someone that uses your product or service. So you always, because obviously you're building for businesses, and when you think about businesses, the big goal of business is to provide service and satisfaction for your users. Like it goes back to the common business saying that customer is king. They're the ones you're doing, or like everything you're doing is for them. So you have to building your chatbot as well. That's very important. What would the user think like? How do I make for these users good experience? Don't think about questions like that. Now, obviously, ethics. So I added a bunch of links. I'll really try to share my slides after this session. I added a bunch of links because obviously, think about AI, loads of conversations around responsible AI because AI is so powerful. We want to make sure it's in the right hands, it's being used the right way as well. So we want to make sure ethical conditions in creating this chatbot. These are just a bunch of links you really want to look up before you create your first chatbot. Also talking about Copilots, there's a bunch of different things you can integrate with it. So there's 365, you have Dynamics, and underneath you have your bot framework, your SDK, your bot service channels, Azure AI Studio, my very own Azure Cognitive Service. So for now, I've personalized the cognitive service. And then you have a Power Platform, connectors, your AI builder. And yeah, this is pretty comprehensive. Let's look at everything we have here. We have the channels you can integrate. We have Twitter, Teams, Zoom, everything in the space, right? And then you have the entity, custom topics using Azure OpenAI search. You also think about data loss prevention policies. That's what I'm talking about with ethics, making sure security, conversation around that. People talk a lot about these things, and it's important you also consider them in creating your chatbots. Now, I kept talking about, I promised I was going to talk about natural language understanding, and here's me keeping up my promise. Now, if I could talk about NLU, you have to talk about NLP. NLP is natural language processing. NLU is natural language understanding. Now, it focuses on organizing the user's unstructured inputs, that's the utterances, so that Copilot can understand and analyze it. The way the Copilot works is somewhat like NLU in the context of a child, for instance, right? Let's say I have a younger brother, is 10 years old. If I told him, let's call my brother Madison, yeah, Madison. I said, Madison, can you go bring my school bag? Right. Madison has to decipher that. So what he does ultimately in his brain is deciphers that what are the entities in that that's an utterance. Madison, go bring my bag is an utterance, but then there's some important entities in that. Bring my bag. So he needs to know, okay, I have to go and bring my bag. Go, he's just bringing the bag next to him. He has to go and then bring and then my bag. So being able to organize what I gave is I could have as well said, Madison, would you be kind enough to bring my bag? It's the same thing. However, this is different utterances. However, the the, 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 the the way what NLU does ultimately is that it organizes the unstructured inputs, and then such that Copilot, my brother in this instance, I just wanted to use that human computer analogy so that we can get much better. And then yeah, we have another one like that. It says, what is the weather in Orlando? Again, two things. The topic is to check the weather. Where are you checking the weather? Is it Lagos's weather? Is it the weather in San Jose? Is it the weather in South Africa? What weather are you talking about? So Orlando's weather. The utterance is the entire statement you see. This could have been phrased as, how cold will it be today in Orlando? It's the same concept I'm trying to get. The answers to both questions are probably the same thing, different utterances, but then you can still decipher the topic and the entity. That's what NLU does. Now let's create a new Copilot to just see the process. You probably want to log in, you open your Copilot Studio Designer, go to your Copilot Studio, select where's Copilot. I'll do all this. Yeah, I'll do all this. Just give me a second. I have a screenshot of what the home page looks like. I'll share my screen now, my entire screen, that is, and you see what that looks like. Create a new board, and we'll just have a simple walkthrough. I'm trying to be quite conscious of time here. We'll have a simple walkthrough of the demo, and please, I think a good takeaway from this session is as good as to be for you to follow through my session. Being able to try this out by yourself, that will really go a long way. So let's just have the demo ASAP. Let's go back here. Okay, yeah, we're back here, guys. So this is the Copilot Studio, and it says, "Hello, I'm here to help you build an agent so you can get more done." Yeah, obviously, that's the point of businesses. They want to get more done with lesser money and by saving time. So you can say something like, "Provide best practices for project management," or "help my teammates on board." But instead of that, let's say, "Provide best practices for writing." I'm a bit of a geek in that regard. For writing, say, research paper. Let's work with that, please. Research paper. Good. And it takes a while. This is just the home page. Just give it a second, please. Good. So you have everything. It gives me, you want to choose a clear topic, conduct your research. I mean, that works good. It's pretty nice, right? Picking a good reference style, good. Now, the last sentence is what's really important to me here. Let's move on to name your agents. How about, it gives me an idea. Does that sound good to you? No, it doesn't. Now, I can walk from here, and with each, you see how it ends the entire feedback loop with a question. Do you know what I'm saying? With a question, it keeps asking me a question, and we can have a conversation. He wants to engage me. Now, what we don't understand here is, as much as all this is happening, subconsciously under the hood, what's happening here is this Copilot that I'm yet to name, or this agent I'm yet to name, ultimately, or this instance of Copilot I'm yet to name, is being trained. Now he knows that I don't want to name it this guy. He knows that already, subconsciously. He knows that, okay, this guy, we're probably talking about research papers, best practices around us. He knows that already. So you could do that here, but more accurately, I think I'd like to just come here. This creates, so it takes a while setting up my agent. Let's just give it a little bit of time. It takes a while. And when it comes up, let me just keep speaking up until when it comes on. When it comes up, what I'm going to be doing essentially is I would be doing the exact thing I could have done with the text, only that I'll be doing that with a simple user interface. It's a bit more, I can configure it similar to how you could, I can make it such that it's what's the word I'm looking for now? It's really good for my use case. So that's what I'm trying to do now. Once that comes up, I'll get that started. Yeah, it's up. Just for, because at some point here, I would want to train my model. Okay. So yeah, we have it now. So details, you could edit as much as you can. You could add instructions, knowledge base, actions. This is me giving you a walkthrough of this entire space. Says what next? Okay, this is good. Now let's call, what should you call it? scroll. Give me a second, please. It's taking a while. Just it's still loading up. It's still loading up. So, but then on the right hand side, here we see hello, I'm Agent, a virtual assistant. Just so you're aware, I sometimes use AI to answer your questions. If you provide the websites during creation, try asking me about it. Try giving me some knowledge, some more knowledge by setting up generative AI. So let's try this. Okay, good. I think I can edit this now. And let's name it Salim's Awesome Agent. I think, okay, let's have that. And today you act as a virtual assistant. Act as a virtual assistant in the space of on the in the electrical energy. Yeah, let's do that. For context, why I choose this is I have a bias was that I'm a electrical electrics major, so I'm really interested in how to integrate AI and energy right now. So that's what the bias was bias. That's where the bias is coming from, as in the space. Okay, so let's have this. I'm not gonna give you any information. Go like this. Now, this guy doesn't know so much about. I mean, I probably know it's my field, so to speak, right? So I can probably help it and add knowledge base. Now you could add different kind of knowledge bases. You could add the public websites. Okay, you could just also upload files. But let's start with public websites. I'm not interested in wind turbines. Wind turbines, we should all know wind turbines. With wind, it helps you convert from wind energy to electricity, going from in places with high breeze, so to speak. So let's just go with that. I have a Wikipedia page for wind turbines here. Go here. Let's add that. And again, remember I talked about public and private websites. So if I had a SharePoint link, I can also add that here, but it is a public one. Also, I have something about solar cells. It's a Wikipedia page on solar cells. You know what? I'm just gonna slap that up here as well. And yeah, let's confirm the yep. And yeah, and I think that's. I want you to look at those websites, check what's there. Yeah, we have it. It's been enabled. It's been you have the green. So it's been okay. Furthermore, I probably want to add a file. I have a paper that's around using wind turbines for solar panels somewhere in my desktop. Let's take it. A techno-economic analysis of rooftop. Yeah, it's a bunch of electrical terms. It's not very interesting. However, let's add this here. So it's a techno-economic assessment of rooftop wind turbines for photovoltaic solar for uninterrupted power supply. And let's upload that. Okay. Takes a while, and I can't close this browser. It takes a little while. And then once that's done, what I'll be doing ultimately is I'll have built my first chatbot, and to be based on these things I've uploaded there. So I think I like what's set up here. I like this. Let me save this for now. It's processing my requests. Afterwards, just a little walkthrough while that's going to get successful. You have knowledge. This is like the knowledge base, like just knowing everything that's happening right here. Wikipedia, the 2 Wikipedia pages and the file I uploaded. Topics. Right now the topics that are available. Just knowing that and I say goodbye, it knows what it means. Actions. There's action as well, just being able to automate processes basically. Analytics, knowing how it works. Channels is more of the endpoints, like how do you then whatever it is, let's say at the end of the day, I would what's the word now? I would publish because I talked about it, like I want to publish this chatbot and making it public. So let's just work with this. I think we're good to go. Are we? Let's test it. Okay. Give me a second, please. Settings. Tell me about solar cells. What does it do? This is very, very important to note. It doesn't say it's generating, it's retrieving, because that this right here, almost summarizes the entire point of this session, because you see what it says: retrieving, not generating. So it's retrieving based on the knowledge base I've given it. Now, a good way to think about the what I've done here as opposed to what you do with a regular, what Copilot Studios allows you to do is creating bots with generative AI. Is similar to, let's assume my younger brother that's 10 years old, that's called Madison. If Madison meets me and he tells me, "Hi Salim, how many planets are there?" Now I'm probably going to tell him, "Oh, there are 9 planets," because when I was 10 years old, that's what I was taught. That's the knowledge I had before. However, right now, the talks, the researches around how Pluto is no longer a planet. Some say there is planets at night. But then because I'm working based on my past knowledge, and it also goes back to the difference between LLMs and RAGs, that's RAGs, retrieval augmented generation, right? So, and retrieval, that's a keyword there. It retrieves what is given already. Okay, so ultimately it retrieves the existing data. So it goes back to the research paper at Fed with it. It goes back to the websites, the two Wikipedia pages at Fed with, and it says, sure. It talks about solar panels, and then you see what's key. It talks about monocrystal silicon, polycrystal silicon, which is also in this Wikipedia page. It goes all the way to talk about its application, advances, and I saw something about research somewhere. Yeah, research is currently ongoing. See, it has a bit more context in the research context. Now I can thereafter go on and publish this, and can be connected to any platform. I've really enjoyed having those speaking engagements. I've really enjoyed it. I want to. I know I also just finished about 7 minutes ago. I want to just keep to that time. It's been amazing sharing knowledge with this particular community. Once it's published, it's pretty easy to follow through with. You can publish it and then available to other platforms. So with that, I think I've come to the end of my session. Thank you so much for having me once again, and really thank you so much.
Thank you, Salim, for talking with us. I can see some pretty amazing comments. I did notice this question that I feel like can be great if you take a look at it. It says from Christian Nwonsu, he says, how is generative AI different from conversational AI?
I love that question. I think conversational AI is more around, when you think about generative AI, I think obviously the keywords are different. It's conversation and generative. So it's be redundant for me to say that's the difference. But then just to talk more about conversational and generative. So conversational AI, you can think about AI in the context of a chatbot, for instance, what we worked on here. So this is a good one here. If I build a chatbot that is Q and A, just Q and A that exists, nothing more than that. Q and A, I've given it. If I trained the chatbot such that if you ask the chatbot, where is the University of Lagos? Who is the vice chancellor of the University? If you ask the chatbot, who is the vice chancellor of the University of Lagos? It knows the answer. Where is X and Y in the University of Lagos? It knows the answer. That's conversational. It's been trained with conversational. It's a bit that's what exists normally. But then what Copilot Studio allows you to do is now combine conversational AI with generative AI. So generative AI is the both are considered about Gen AI right now. LLMs, what ChatGPT does is generates new content. When I call my ChatGPT and I ask it about the history of I don't know, Nigeria, so to speak, right? Ask about the history of Nigeria. It doesn't. I've not trained it on that. I'm not. There's no Q&A pair as well as conversational AI. I just ask it. What has been trained on is just a bunch of corpus of text. That's what it's trained on. In the same sense, what I've trained this knowledge on, what I've trained this bot on is just bunch of web pages and a what documents I uploaded, as you saw earlier in the session. So I think the key difference is just knowing that conversation is more around conversational AI is more around integrating AI around conversational, making this is a good one here. Conversational AI is more around having a computer do what we would normally think as intelligence in humans around the conversational space. So being able to, like, that's what chatbot does. Generative AI on the other end is what we know as ChatGPT is doing. Now, Copilot Studio, and get this, it allows you to do generative AI whilst working on conversational AI solutions. I hope that's the question, Christian.
Thank you so much for that beautiful answer. We did get like a lot of comments. Someone said they enjoyed the session, which I totally agree. It was great. So just for the sake of time, we would like to move to the next speaker, our fourth speaker for the day. And Yes, let me just bring her up to the stage. And our fourth speaker for the day is going to be, um, excuse me, is going to be Tina Okonkwo, and she's going to be talking about optimizing data models for supply chain analytics in Power BI. And just to kind of give a little bit about Tina, Tina is a data scientist, data analyst with 3+ years of experience across energy, retail, and manufacturing sectors. She specializes in business intelligence and analytics using Power BI, SQL, and Python, with expertise in developing interactive dashboards and data models. Her technical toolkit includes various database platforms, including SQL Server, Postgres, SQL, MongoDB, and Snowflake, and analytics tools focusing on delivering actionable insights through data automation and visualization. So, without further ado, I'm adding to the stage Tina. Hi, Tina. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Blessing, for having me. Just to confirm that you can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, hi everybody. This is my first time actually speaking at Global Power Platform, so it's actually an exciting opportunity for me. I mean, I've been listening to other speakers and I've learned quite a lot. So, without wasting much time, I would like to go right into my session because I want to share my screen and I also want to do a little bit of hands-on here. So I hope my screen is visible now. Today we're going to be talking about optimizing data models for supply chain analytics in Power BI, most especially focusing on performance accuracy for defect and downtime analytics. So basically, I'm going to speak the About Me session because I think Blessing did a very good job about that. Specifically, I'm going to talk about why supply chain and why Power BI. We're going to talk about supply chain first of all. Supply chain ranges from manufacturing to production to warehousing to inventory, and you would agree with me that they create a lot of data, and this data is coming from multiple sources. So there's the need for real-time visibility to build complex relationship within this data, and that is where Power BI comes in because Power BI allows you to connect to various data sources, do advanced data visualization and also do, it has strong
Hello,
data
Tina.
modeling capabilities. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, but we can't see your screen. Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah. Can you maybe try resharing it again?
okay, let me reshare. Stop sharing and share again. How about now? How about now? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it now. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so just to recap, I was talking about supply chain analytics and how data comes from multiple sources like, you have your manufacturing data, you have your warehousing, you have inventory and management, as well as procurement as well, like various phases. There's also logistics as well, and there's a need for real-time visibility. And, you want to build data models across this data to actually show information like tracking different materials from various vendors, and that is where Power BI comes in because you can connect to various data sources that host your data and also build like advanced data visualization and dashboards. You can also do what we call data modeling. It has a data model view that you can create your data model and also do built-in AI and analytics feature. First of all, what exactly is data modeling? And simply put, data modeling is just splitting your tables into facts and dimension tables. And what this means is that you have this large table and you're sort of organizing and structuring this data based on relationships in a way that actually supports efficient analysis and reporting in Power BI. So now that we understand what data modeling is, let's move into fact and dimension models. Think of fact table as this. I'm sure most of us are familiar with supermarket example. We've been to the supermarket and you sort of buy this product, and a cashier sort of enters in details like your name, the quantity of products you bought, and maybe even the price, and all sorts of information like that. Think of it as your transactional data, as your facts table, all those information. Now, there's like they might collect information like your name, your email, things like your account number, have a database of like product name, product ID, product category. That is what you call your dimension table. So your fact table contains like measurable data or transactional data, while your dimension table contains what attributes of your facts table. So it also contains something I call like your several repetitive value. So one customer can come and buy a product for several times, while a dimension table actually contains unique value, like things that explains your products exactly. So let's move into schema design. We're talking about star schema and your snowflake schema. So when you build a data model, you end up with two: your star schema and your snowflake schema. And star schema is that one in which, now that we understand what fact table is, it's just in which your fact table is surrounded by several dimensional tables, and while your snowflake schema is one in which your dimensional model is further broken down into several other dimensional tables. And just like I mentioned, we're going to be doing a demo here. Hopefully I'll share my slides so you can read through. I know I was taking all this, and just like you should know, there's also something called relationships and cardinality. And for relationships, this talks about how your tables are linked to each other, and it's very, very advisable that you use a one-to-many and also like a star schema. Right now, this is because, for example, say I have an information that records like vendor ID, like different vendor, maybe like the defect quantity, and I have like a vendor reports ID on my tables. What this means is that I have several unique value of different vendor reports. Like, okay, I report this one. What this means is that if I connect this vendor reports ID with another vendor report ID, this would actually slow performance. So what I do in this case is to use like a vendor ID to connect to a vendor ID, not a vendor reports ID, right? That is what I'm connecting with. Just confirm, Blessing, you can still see my screen carefully. You can still see my screen, right?
Yes, we can still see your screen.
Okay, I don't know if Blessing is there.
Just
like I was saying, your vendor report ID, if you connect vendor report ID to vendor report ID, it can slow down performance. And when you have like low cardinality, you're converting like your vendor ID to vendor ID. And what this means is that you have just fewer unique values, and it makes your query run very, very faster. So this is another very important thing that you need to take note of. So we're going to look at how to exactly build a data model, and we're going to be practicalizing this thing. First of all, whenever I have a data set, and just like I mentioned, we're going to be using like our data set here containing supplier quality data. That is what we're going to be using. I'm going to share a link to all of the resources that I've used for this session on the chat as well, so that you can follow through. I just need to confirm that somebody can see my screen, so that because right now I'm on the Power BI currently, and I really hope that you can see my screen. So I just have this data.
Yes, we can see your
No,
screen.
we can see your screen. Okay.
Yeah, but we can't see Power BI though. You said you're on Power BI, right?
Yes, I'm on
Right
Power
now,
BI.
We can't see Power BI.
Yeah, the camera.
What we are
You
saying
see,
is
all
how
of
to
us we
build
are
a data
following.
model.
Everybody is just talking because we don't want to miss your session. Interesting.
So maybe stop sharing. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I want to be sure
Stop sharing.
that I'm sorry. It's actually my first time using StreamYard, so it's just a bit of an hassle. Yeah.
Perfectly understandable.
Okay, good. So I have this data here that I've loaded into my Power Query editor in the Power BI. Can you see my Power BI right now?
Yes, I can see your Power BI.
I want to be sure that I'm sharing my entire screen, because that is what I'm supposed to do. So please, if you can just give me a second.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah, your entire screen. You can see it.
Okay. All right. Please kindly confirm you can see the Power BI screen.
Yes, yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you
Tina,
very
we
much.
can. Yeah, you're
All
welcome.
right. So this is a data set, a supplier quality data, right? And just like I mentioned, we want to be focusing on like the vendor down like different quantity and downtime. That is what we want to focus on in supply chain. I mentioned something earlier on that supply chain is actually very vast. You have like the manufacturing angle, you have warehousing and inventory management, you have the procurement angle. There's also like the logistics and transportation angle. There's even the retail angle of supply chain. But for this particular session, we're going to be focusing on FMCG. If you're familiar with like production companies, like people that produce, for example, your noodles, right? If you're familiar with that, you would notice that like these people, they get raw materials such as like your carton, maybe the pack that they used to pack your noodles, for example, and all those things. Now, how do they actually track which vendor is performing well and which vendor is actually not performing well, right? They will need to, track things like the defect rates, the quantity, and they need a good data model to actually be able to do this. And for you to be able to do this now, you need to build what we call create what we call your facts and your dimension table. So there are cases when you can have like a large flat file like your CSV or your Excel file. Sometimes you're connecting even to a SQL database, but this data is actually in a very large, flat file or a wide, something we call a wide format. There'll be a need for you to create and break this down into what we call your fact and table, and that is what I've written down all the steps in my slides, which I'm going to be sharing, is to actually categorize your data into like what we call your fact and your dimension table. So look for categorical data and also look for value variable. And if I just scroll down to this data, you'd realize that the only metrics that we have in this data is like your total defect quantity and the total downtime minutes. And I mentioned something that your facts table contains what measures. They are measurable, they are transactional, like things that occurs every day. That is what your facts table contains. And if you also look over here, you probably see like a date, which is like a transactional date in which that particular error or that vendor raw material, whatever, was actually reported, right? So you have all this down. Now, how then do you create what we call your facts table and your dimension table? Number one thing, you want to look for like categories. Normally, what I would do would be to copy all of my columns and place them in like an Excel sheet, or maybe write them down on a piece of paper so that I can plainly see all my columns. Then the next thing is I want to start looking for relationships between each column. And if you look through all these columns that you have here, you will figure out that they are quite like, maybe there are a little bit of relationships like with the ID and some of the categorical data that you have, but there's quite no relationship with some of the categories. So in this case, what you do is you look for all the categories and you sort of like do a count. For example, just basically looking at this, you can tell that vendor is 1, plant location is 2, category is 3, material type is 4, defect type is 5, and you have your defect, that is number 6. What this means is that you want to end up with like 6 different dimensional tables aside your facts table, right? So when you have wide tables like this, it's very, very important that you break it down into smaller tables, right, to support efficient analysis and reporting. Now, how do you do that? Number one thing that you need to do is to duplicate your main sheet. We're going to be duplicating this sheet 5 different times, so I'm going to just right click on it and do duplicate 1, right click again, I'll duplicate. I'm going to right click, do a duplicate, right click, do another duplicate, right click again, do another duplicate. Okay, good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename all this table. Now for my first table, I'm going to call it my facts table. So I'll just say, I'll call this facts supplier quality. For the next one, I'm going to call this my vendor. So I'm just going to rename each of all these tables. So I'm just going to call this my vendor table. The next one, sorry, misspelled vendor. So this is going to be my dim vendor. For the next one, I'm going to call this my plant location. So basically all of the categories I have that I can see a relationship, right? Now, based on this one, like what I mentioned, there's no relationship. So we are just naming each and every one of them. So plant location. For the third one, I'm going to call this my category. Another one I would call okay. For this one, I'm going to call my material type. And then for the last one, I'm going to call defect type. And I think there's one more one that we are going to call defect. So I'm going to just duplicate this one again. And I'm going to call this one just defect. Good. Now, but if you look through all these tables, we still have all the original things that are in the main table in others as well. So what we need to do is to split this table, because what we are trying to do is to split it into like granular form, the smallest bit. That is what we need to do, right? We want to sort of reduce redundancy, reduce repetitive values in those other tables. That is what we're trying to do here. And also in a way, while we're doing this, we're also trying to improve the performance of our reports. So what we're going to do in this case is, because on our vendor table, what we should have left is just information relating to vendor. And information relating to vendor is just the vendor and the vendor ID. Now you can go ahead and start deleting all these columns one after the other, but that would take a while, right? And sometimes you might have a very large table and you might not have time to look through each and every one of them. So what you just need to do is to go to your choose columns, select choose columns, and what you want to do is unselect all columns and just select everything relating to vendor, which is my vendor and my vendor ID, and click on what? Okay. Now, there's something I mentioned, that in your vendor table, it doesn't contain duplicates. And if you look at this, it's coming from our main table. So obviously, they are duplicates. How do I know that they are duplicates? When you look at this, you have 303 distinct and 68 unique, right? And when you want to remove duplicates, you want to remove duplicates on what we call your primary key, which is like the smallest unit in your data, the smallest possible unit. Like, I mean, what is that thing that if you know, you'll be able to know others, right? Remember I said something, you don't want to connect text on text. For example, you don't want to connect a long list of name on a long list of name. So in this case, what we're going to be using is our vendor ID. So on my vendor ID here, what I'm just going to do is I would right click and I'm going to scroll down to where I have remove duplicates, and I'm going to remove duplicates from it. Now you can see I have 318 distinct and also 318 unique. So I'll go to my plant location and I'll do the same thing. I'll just do choose columns, go to choose columns, and what do? I unselect all columns and I'm going to do plant location ID, and I'll select plant location. If there are any other thing relating to plant location on here, I would also select that. But because I have just plant location and plant location ID, I'm going to click that and I will do OK. Okay, so what I want to do again is remove duplicates from my primary key, which is my plant location ID, that is the smallest unit in this particular data. So what I'm going to do is I would select my plant location ID, I would right click on it, and what I want to do is do what? Remove duplicates. I'll do the same thing on every other dimensional table that I've done. So if we do for category, we also need to do choose columns. We go and then uncheck the box for selecting all columns, and then what do? We select our category and we select category ID and we'll click on OK. remember there are a lot of duplicates here. So what do? We need to remove duplicates. So I'll click on this category ID and go to what? Right click, and then I'll do what? Remove duplicates. So I have just my unique data. I'll go to my material type and I'll do the same thing. Choose columns, okay? And then what you want to do is uncheck the box that says select all columns, and you want to select what? Your material type, and you want to select your material type ID. And then what you want to do is to click on OK. Okay, the next thing you want to do is to go to where you have your material ID, which is the smallest unit, and your primary key. Right click on it and do what? You're going to remove duplicates as well. So you remove duplicates on it, and then you move to the next table, which is your defect type. Remember, in this particular table, I'm selecting only things that are relating to some things, right? There are cases where you can have maybe like your customer name, customer segments, and things like that. You want to group those things together, or you have situations where you have like your product name, product category, product subcategory. Those things are related. That is the next step you want to do. You want to look for related hierarchies. We'll call them hierarchies. Like if I give you an example, like a family tree where you have like the grandfather, the father, and the child. That's like a family tree, right? So you think of something that is smallest, that when you know that thing, you'll be able to know other things, right? For example, in this defect type, if I know the defect type ID, I'll be able to know what defect type that ID is speaking to. So on this case, I'm going to uncheck the box that says select all column. I'll pick defect type ID, and I'm going to go ahead and look for defect type as well. And then I'll click OK. And just the same thing like we've done for others. On my primary key, which is my defect ID, I'll right click and I'll do what? I'll remove duplicates. And then I'll go to the last table, which is my defect table, do choose columns and select, I'll uncheck the box that says select all columns. I'm going to select my defect ID and I'll select defects, and I'll click on OK. And then on my defect ID, what I want to do is I'll right click and I'll do what? I'm going to remove duplicates as well. Now, what I've just done here is to create smaller versions of my table. Now, I will go back to my facts table. On your facts table, what do you need to have there? Now, what your fact table contains most times are numerical objects, less text. Your facts table contains text because they contain like descriptive elements of your facts table. For example, a customer can come several times to buy a product from my organization, but in my dimension table, it contains like information about that customer, like the customer name, maybe customer email address, customer phone number, things like that, right? But my facts table will contain like that same customer can come several times, so it might contain like the customer identity number. And there's something I would like to mention. Primary key cannot be two. So no primary keys are like your primary keys are unique. So your dimension tables always contain unique values, while your facts table can contain repetitive value. Now, looking at that, on your facts table, what do? You go ahead and do choose column. So what you want to have left on your facts table are only the IDs and also your measures. Remember, it also contains transactional data and measurable data. So what you want to do is uncheck the box that says select all column, and each time around what we're going to be selecting is number one, the date. It is transactional, right? The date when it occurs. And because we are trying to also do what? Create what we call a star schema. And I mentioned that a star schema is one in which your facts table is in the center and it is surrounded by multiple dimension table. And that is the best kind of model. And I mean, I'm going to walk you through some of the tips when you're choosing some of this model. So we're going to select our date. We're also going to select the defect ID, the defect type ID, material type ID, your plant location ID. So basically all those primary keys. And when your primary keys is found in your facts table, what we'll call them is your foreign keys. So it's known as your foreign keys when it's found in your facts table. Then we now want to select our measures, which is our total defect quantity and the total downtime minutes. So every of these test related thing, we're leaving them out. So I'm going to add my vendor ID as well and my category ID. And what do you need all of this ID for? To connect your dimension table to your facts table. So once I do this, I'm going to click on OK. Somebody might ask, are we removing duplicates on this table? Remember, I said something that your facts table can contain several repetitive values. So aside from your data cleaning or removing duplicates and all that, you don't need to stay on any foreign key on here to remove duplicates, because if you do that, you would end up losing data. So what you want to do after doing all this is to do what we call close and apply, and you'll find that icon just right here on top of the Power Query editor. So when I click close and apply, it loads this into my Power BI desktop. And what happens is that I can now go to my data modeling view to sort of complete what we have, right? Because your data modeling does not just end in your Power Query editor, but it starts from your Power Query editor. So now that this is loaded, what I'm going to do is I will go to my model view over here, right? And if you are like me that like to keep my auto detect relationship turned on, right, from the from Power BI settings, Power BI will automatically connect your tables together. But if you're like me that or if you're maybe somebody that you like to leave that open and like to do the hard work and connect that by yourself, you can go ahead and start connecting. And now if I bring this over here, you will notice that I'm going to try to reduce this a bit. Good. I hope this is visible enough. So you will notice that what Power BI has done here is to connect like your defect ID over here to the defect ID on your facts table. If you hover on this arrow you have here, you would see that connection. Same thing when you go to your category and you hover on it, you would notice that connection as well. Same thing on your defect type and every other table you will see here. And something you would notice is that you have one major fact table that has been surrounded by several dimensional tables, and this is what you call your star schema, right? Now, in the grand scheme of things for your snowflake schema, probably you have like your star schema that has been further, like those dimension tables that have been further broken down into smaller dimension tables. But your star schema is always the best route to use, and you also want to use what we call a one-to-many relationship. One-to-many relationship is very important. What do we call one-to-many relationship? It's you saying that you have one occurrence of this year and many occurrence of that in another table. I give an instance that you as a customer, you go to supermarkets where you buy things, right? You can go this month, next month, and throughout the year to buy this stuff. And that particular supermarket might have like a master table that contains, information about you, right? Just your name, probably your phone number, maybe your birth date, and some other information like that, right? Now, that information, that small information table they have is what we call your dimension table. But that other one that contains you coming several months to come and buy something is what we call your fact table. So the other one is your dimension table. This one is your fact table. Now, what this means is that remember your dimension table, you cannot have repetitive values. You have just one. So you have one of those values connecting to many in that fact table. So that is what your one to many relationship is telling you. And this is very important because it can help improve your performance. Like when you're loading visuals, this is actually, it makes the load time very, very fast for you, so you don't have to spend a lot of time or waste a lot of time trying to load your visual as well. Because remember, in supply chain, like I mentioned, you're going to be dealing with large and vast amount of data, and most times key stakeholders want to see their results almost immediately, and having a data model would help make everything, your analysis, even very, very efficient, right? Because you're not having to waste a lot of time to generate all these calculations. So I'm just going to go right back into my presentation and just share you like some of the tips that you should put at the back of your mind, right, when you're trying to build this data model. Number one, you want to limit data load. For example, they are telling you that they want to see probably just defect rates and downtime quantity, downtime hours and defect quantity. They want to see, and also the defect rate. You don't want to go to the database and start picking information that has to do with warehousing, inventory, logistics, and all of that. You want to focus on the use case, right? Limit data load, because by the time you have all those data load, it takes a lot of time for your results to actually load, or for your reports to actually load. And what this means is that you're slowing down even efficiency for the organization. Another thing is you want to make sure that you're implementing star schema. And I did a good job of explaining what your star schema is all about. Is that one in which you have like your central fact table, and your fact table is what? It contains your main business events surrounded by your dimensional tables that contains what? Like descriptive information about your fact table. So you want to make use of your star schema. Also, it's also important to leverage aggregated tables. There are sometimes when you can write your SQL script, right, in your SQL Server, Postgres, or wherever you're loading in that data into, to just minimize that data before bringing it into Power BI. Also, there is one very big mistake a lot of people make, which is auto date and time, right? When you don't disable your auto date and time, what happens is that Power BI tries to create a lot of date models. And what this means is that it keeps slowing. You see a report that is supposed to be like your PBIX file is probably supposed to be like maybe just 2 MB. And you just realize that you're seeing like 256 MB for like a PBIX report that is not even this thing. By PBIX, that is like the version or the file extension of your Power BI reports, right? So what you want to do in this case is to create what we call your date tables and turn off all those hierarchies that Power BI creates for you with those auto date and time. Another thing that is very, very important is to define your relationships clearly, just like how we did, like using your one to many, considering one to many, right? Even when you have cases of your many to many. Now, when we talk about many to many, we are saying that I have many occurrence in this particular part and many in another part. So when we talk about many to many, most times you want to create what we call a bridge table that contains the unique values in both tables, and you are connecting this bridge table to those tables so that you are doing what? You are minimizing all these headaches. Another thing that is very important is utilizing DAX measures instead of calculated columns. I tell people that rather than building a lot of, I know we are all very good at DAX, right? But rather than building all those calculated columns in your Power BI, there are some calculated columns that you can create using your Power Query editor. It's best to do all that there before loading your data into Power BI desktop and minimize the DAX that you are that you're writing. So what this happens is that it helps also optimize your data model properly, and it makes your load time very, very faster, right? And the last one that I'm going to mention here, which is very important for those of us that will be dealing with really, really large data sets, implementing incremental refresh is key. So you want to archive all those data that might not be of any use to them anymore, right? And just focus on the most important information. So implementing incremental refresh is actually very, very key when you are dealing with large data sets. So these are some of the best practices. These are some of the tips that you need when you want to optimize your data model. Now, aside supply chain, this works across several industries. So what I want us to do is take our time, look at this part of the slides that talk about how to build a data model, go through it and try to practice with any industry case that you have, right? Number one is you splitting your reporting fields into categories and values, considering that your value fields are your fact table fields. When you're doing this, you're just creating two buckets, your fact table bucket and your dimension table bucket. So any value variable that you have, you're throwing them into your fact table bucket. And then you're looking for relationships or hierarchies, just like what I mentioned, things that are related to each other. For example, customer name is related to what? The customer phone number, the customer email address, those kind of things. You're looking for those relationships, and you're creating what we call a dimensional table. In this case, you can say customer dimension table. And any categorical fields that are without hierarchies, right? You want to throw those ones into your fact table buckets. Now, there are case scenarios where people go as far as creating what we call like indexing, right? Where you're creating keys for your hierarchies that are without relationships, for your categorical field without relationships. You're creating those keys and creating like a dimension out of them, which is similar to even what we've just done. And then the next thing you want to do, every category of dimension or relationship you figure out, you are considering those ones as your fact table, as your dimension tables. And then in those dimension tables, you are doing what? You're identifying the smallest unit. Now, the smallest unit is that one thing that when you know, you'll be able to know others, and you're just identifying that one as your primary key. Okay, so when you identify that as your primary key, you just have to replicate that one in your fact table, making sure that that is what you are going to use to do that connection. Like you're connecting your facts to your dimension. You're connecting primary key to foreign key, making sure that you're sticking to the one to many cardinality, and you're making sure to implement a star schema. I'm going to pause here and I'm going to take a couple of questions. I hope I was not so fast, but I hope you've been able to learn how to actually build a data model and what optimizing supply chain data models looks like. Thank you. So at this point, I'm just going to pause and see if I can take questions.
Thank you so much, Tina. That was really educate. That was really educative. So let me check the comment section. I know I've seen a lot of comments. Someone says, "My Shayla." um, let's see if there's any question. Someone here says this is truly powerfully power packed from Power Automates through to Power BI and powered by AI. All presenters are powerfully engaging. Thank you so much, Christian, for this comment. Someone here says great explanations of facts and dimension tables. I'm a big fan of one too many. That's right. I don't think there is any specific questions. I know there was someone who asked a question about AI, but that was for our last speaker. So please feel free to reach out to this if you had any questions we missed. Feel free to reach out to the specific speakers on their LinkedIn to kind of engage with them and ask your questions. Thank you so much, Tina, for this wonderful session. We learned a lot, and clearly from the feedback we're getting from everyone, it sounds like they learned a lot as well. Someone says, "Go, Tina." Favor
Thank
says,
you
"Go,
so much
Tina."
for having me. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Cool. All right, and moving on to, I'll be adding Ayo to the stage to take over.
All right. Thank you so much, Tina. It was a really engaging session, very insightful. I feel like my head is blowing right now. Um, and also, I would say, when the speaker lineup is really crazy because it feels like my head wants to blow. Like a lot of information, and it's so interesting that these things are actually very important in our day-to-day activities. For example, Tina talking about how to optimize data models. That's very important because sometimes you can try to load a dashboard and then for hours it's not ready, and then you're like, what's happening? Not knowing that your data model, what you worked on your data model is not the best, so you need to optimize it. And also even Salim's session talking about the use of AI and everything, man, it's okay. Oh, I think we have a question
Yeah, we have
from
a question
Mobile.
from Moba. What's the best practice to optimize the model when there's more dates in the tables?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. And just like I mentioned, when you have a lot of dates in your table, Power BI tries to create what we call like a date hierarchy, right? If you work with Power BI a lot, you'll probably see that where you have like this mini dates in your data model. So the best practice and what you need to do is to create what we call like a centralized calendar table or a date table that you connect with every of your dates, right? And what this means is that you're marking that centralized date table as your date table. So Power BI knows that this is your date table and it turns off every other hierarchy that you have in those other dates, right? So that is basically the best practice to actually optimize your model. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Tina. Also, like another affirmative word from our leader, he says, "This is a master class." Ola says, "This is a master class." Kudos, Tina. And Comfort says he has a question. Comfort.
Hi, Comfort. Kindly type your question in the chat box so we can just upload it for everyone to see.
Okay. Seems Comfort is okay.
I don't know if Comfort is typing or not. We can't really say.
Maybe let's give 30 more seconds for his question. Okay, it says, I currently have different tables, like with up to 8 different tables, and most of it are values.
Okay, so I'll guess that probably you're still typing your question, but I'm just going to start from what you've typed, and I'm going to guess. Okay, beautiful. How do you differentiate between facts and dimension tables in this case? Now, there are cases when you can have multiple fact tables. You need to have that at the back of your mind. Let me give you a scenario here now. I run a sales or a grocery industry or a supermarket, for example, and I have like a table that contains things about my inventory, right? Things that I have, like maybe my stock on the shelf, right? And those are numbers, those are repetitive. And probably I have a chain of stores, maybe store in different locations in the world. I'm going to probably have like repetitive value because for every store, they have different amount of values on shelf, right? And there are also cases where like I now have my sales, like my sales table of all the sales that I've made across these different stores. What this means is that I'm going to end up with two fact table, because these are informations that are reoccurring aside my regular dimension table. So the first thing you want to put at the back of your mind is this, and that is the first step in trying to build your data model. Make sure you differentiate what is categorical data to your industry to your value variable. Now, what are your value variable? Value variable are those that are measurable, they are transactional. For example, the price of a product, the quantity of a product, those are your value field. Now, your categorical variable are descriptive information. It can be the name of a product, the name of a customer, things like that. Those are what categorical variable. So you want to clearly differentiate. Now, there are cases where you can have things appearing as value, but they are categorical data. I can give you an instance here. Like, for example, if I have my customer ID, what is customer ID? Sometimes my customer ID can be like maybe 001. Okay, let me even use a real life example here. Your passport number, for example, your passport number might be like all in figures, right? But this does not mean that that is a value variable. It is descriptive because it's doing what? It's telling you the number or the passport number of a person or the passport number of myself. So what this means is that that is a category. I just need to clearly differentiate what is a value and what is categorical in my data. Now that is the first step. Now after doing that, you also want to think of, when you're thinking of all those things, you're also thinking of like values that are similar to each other, because what we are trying to do is to break our large table into smaller bits. Okay, so you want to clearly differentiate what is similar to each other and try to group them together. That is how you end up with your fact table. So sometimes you can end up with multiple fact tables and you can end up with several dimensional tables.
All right. Thank you so much. Before we just quickly wrap up to the next thing for time, the last question we'll take is it possible to, from Abula Ridwan, is it possible to have more than one fact table, and will the star schema still work for this scenario? Just briefly answer this.
Okay, yeah, I'll briefly answer this. I mean, my previous explanation already explained all this. The explanation of using the inventory and sales already explained this, right? So it's very possible, but just think of it. What exactly is a star schema? Star schema is that one where you have your fact tables in the middle, surrounded by multiple dimensional tables. I really hope this answers your question. I mean, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm Tina Okonkwo, and I'll definitely take more questions on there.
Okay, thank you so much, Tina. It was really great having you here.
Thank you, Blessing.
All right.
Yeah.
Now,
thank you so much,
on.
Tina. All right, I'll just take it from here. Thank you so much, Tina. A big thank you to all our speakers for Arkansas Global Power Platform Bootcamp. And one thing I'm going to say is, aside from the fact that you've learned a lot today, you need to also connect with the speakers from Emmanuel Fagbinle to Epreduna to Salim Oyinlola to Tina Okonkwo. So if you have any question that you want to ask, you should actually reach out to them. And also, that's a way to increase your network. So yeah, without further ado, I'm just going to share some things with us because we have come to the end of today's session. And interestingly, we have over 400 audiences right now. That's really big. That's really really big. We are really really happy. The turnout is really massive, and yeah. So moving on, we're going to be having a challenge. So yeah, we need you to validate your tech skills, so you can have access to opportunities. So please copy this link or scan this barcode so you can join us in this challenge. Um, you'll be able to learn about Power Apps, use how to use AI Builder, how to build AI-enabled hubs in Power Apps using this learning path. So please take a screenshot, scan the barcode, and join the challenge. It's very, very important so that you can be able to, navigate this thing yourself, learn all these things yourself, and even who knows, next year you can take a session, right? So you need to start learning these things. And with the help of this learning path, you'll be able to do all that. So I'm gonna keep this up for a while. I'm Blessing. Can you help maybe put the link, this aka.ms/GPPB25 challenge? You can just put
Yep.
it in chat. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so
Okay, that MS.
and also post on Twitter. Post on Twitter. Hashtag GPPB25. Let everybody see. Let them see what we are learning. It's very very important. So please post online. Take screenshots. Take pictures with your PC. Since you are joining online, take picture with your laptops and post them online. All right. So also we'll be open to Power Platform opportunities. So could be internship, could be job opportunities. So please copy this link, scan this barcode, and fill the form. So you need to submit your
Sorry,
application.
do you mind going to the previous slide for the link again?
Oh, okay. Yeah, probably just drop it. Okay.
GPPB.
G.
Challenge. Okay. All right, got it.
Okay. Cool. So all right. So I just move to the next. So if you're interested in Power Platform opportunities, so please yeah, take a screenshot. I think we should be able to copy this to let me see if I could. So take a screenshot and or copy the code, the barcode. Yep. Slash. Invite your friends tomorrow. Tomorrow is day 2. Invite your friends tomorrow. Let them also enjoy from this knowledge, this wealth of knowledge that we are sharing. It's very, very important. And okay, so I'll be moving on to the next. This is very important for us. The feedback, your feedback on today's session. So please scan the barcode. Tell us what you think about the session, how you think we can improve, what we did well. This is very important for us because it will guide us on how we can serve you better. And this is very, very important for us. So please take a screenshot, scan it with your phone, and yeah. So okay, so I'm going to keep
Yeah.
this up for the next 1 minute. Blessing, you say something?
Yeah, I was just gonna mention that we do have a session tomorrow. So if you're up to it, please join us again tomorrow.
Yeah.
For the second session, we have more speakers coming in to chat with us. So yeah,
Yeah.
we'll appreciate it if you join us tomorrow.
Yeah. So tomorrow is day 2, and tomorrow is really packed. Honestly, I've seen the lineup of the speakers, and I'll tell you that it's something else. It's something else entirely. Like it's big, really big. I don't want to spill the ice yet, so I'm just gonna keep quiet. But then join tomorrow and join very early. join very, very early so you don't miss out. And yeah, we have come to the end of day one. Thank you so much for joining. It's really a pleasure having every one of you. And hopefully, for those who didn't know about Power Platform, hopefully now you have an interest in Power Platform, looking at sessions that we had today. So you can look into Copilot, Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI. It gives you a power, it gives you leverage. It makes you indispensable. So please, if you need to make that decision on when you want to learn it, let that decision, let it be now. Learn it now is very, very important. It's going to increase your productivity, and anywhere you are, you're indispensable. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Do have a wonderful day. I know in Nigeria it's almost is night already, but for some of us, our day is just started. So guys, have a wonderful day, and yeah, bye
Thank
bye
you.
everyone.
Bye
Thank you
bye.
everyone for joining. Bye.